Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
After a week off, the IROC Challenge Series hits September running at the biggest oval not named after the iRacing service. That's Talladega Superspeedway, and that is the stop for round number 5 of this season. We welcome you to the original Alabama International Raceway. I am Chris Scala, and in the booth with me tonight is Andrew Cardinale. I had to practice that one, Andrew, as I welcome you to joining me tonight, our first night working together, and I'm one that likes to get names right, so I welcome you to joining me. But behind the scenes, Joe Peak, as always, and we're using those cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Now, Talladega Superspeedway is where we are. Let's show you a little description of what this monster of a 2.66 mile track is with our track guide.
Welcome to Talladega Superspeedway. Not satisfied with his incredible accomplishments with Daytona, Bill France Sr. plucked up a plot of land in Alabama east of Birmingham and had one goal: make it faster. At 2.66 miles and with 33 degrees of banking, he succeeded. Not only is the banking steeper and the lap longer than Daytona, but the track itself is wider as well. As you'd expect, this makes for one of the most unique styles of racing motorsports has ever seen. The slipstream allows drivers to stay with one another so easily that it becomes less about the speeds each driver can reach and more about the strategy of racing in a pack. Bump drafting is a technique in which the car behind actually pushes the car in front so that both are able to reach higher speeds. And side drafting is another in which the drivers use the air off the sides of their cars to slow their opponents down. Staying out of trouble is always a difficult aspect of superspeedway racing, and it's not uncommon to see drivers intentionally move to the back of the pack to avoid the chaos. In fact, the high speeds make large wrecks so hard to avoid that the term "the big one" has become commonplace to refer to the almost inevitable multi-car pileups the circuit is known for. Also, entering pit lane is its own skill, which requires practice in order to slow the car up as quickly and safely as possible. Keeping the car clean and in contention is the main goal for much of the event. Then the final few laps, it's a race to the line, with any alliances usually dissolving and the driver's urge to win taking over. Known for gobbling up cars and ruining a driver's good day in the blink of an eye, Talladega truly holds the title of the biggest and baddest track on the NASCAR circuit.
And that, of course, is a lap around the, like I said, track known as Alabama International Raceway, which is actually built on a former airbase that they couldn't actually admit on TV recently when a Talladega race was on. But the, Talladega Boulevard is actually on one of the old landing strips of that airbase in the infield. I don't know why TV couldn't tell them where it was, actually. Anyways, let's talk a little bit about this track, Andrew. That's just a little tidbit about it. But what are some of these specs about this track?
Well, I know it says the Charlotte Motor Speedway on your screen, but Talladega Superspeedway, constructed way back in the late 60s, was built to be the biggest and baddest NASCAR track in the land. And of course, checking in at 2.66 miles, it is exactly that. Just that little bit longer than Daytona. It's built to be bigger, faster than Daytona. And of course, that start-finish line is cockeyed down towards turn number 1, not only to be different, but also to sell more seats down in that corner. And the great thing about it is it provides some of those fantastic Talladega finishes. And Atlanta gets the rap for all the fantastic Atlanta finishes, but we get even more here at Dega. As everybody knows, we've seen the 4 wide across the line. I'm sure we're going to see exactly that here tonight.
Oh, we're going to see some wild racing. And one thing's for sure, when it's all over with tonight, somebody with the Spartan name on their car. will cross the start-finish line first. I'm
that's
pretty
a safe bet.
consistent with
It's a safe
that.
bet.
And of course, Spartan Transportation is the sponsor of this IROC Challenge series, and we appreciate those guys for being a part of that and a part of this 100-lap race we're about to feature, but also a part of the sponsorships tonight. And got to say big thanks to these people that help support this series. Let's start with Zoe's Place. Of course, the mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team, MDT, conducts investigations and intervention activities. Now, our goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Now, our vision is to foster hope and healing, reduce trauma, and provide nurturance for children and their families. That is Zoe's Place. R&R Racewear, your source to all your custom racewear apparel needs, and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at rrracewear.com. Evidence-Based Mommy. If you have questions about parenting or non-toxic living, visit evidencebasedmommy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines science and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. We got Lucky Finn. We're proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb differences education and awareness. You can find more info at luckyfinnproject.org. Of course, you got a couple of these other sponsors: Loud Pedal TV, 5-Star Graphics, Sim Coaches, and Hot Dog Stand. It is open officially. I'll take a hot dog right now. You can be sure to tune in live as they air the Hot Dog Stand podcast on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on their Facebook page. You can also listen to all conversations on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Anchor. All those proud sponsors there of the league. Appreciate those guys. As championship battle, it has been a consistent Aaron Smith so far, Andrew, as we go in, and I believe we got the point standings up there on the screen right now. Andrew, who, little be known, I've actually watched him race multiple times in another league. I mean, if he's this good right now, wait till they get to road courses, if they have him on the schedule, because the dude knows how to drive on road courses. Chris Medford, he is second in points. Troy Radford, Kevin McCann, and Brandon Medford up there in the top 5. I was doing a little bit of research, Andrew, as I looked at the point standings here tonight. We have actually one winner so far, or we've had one repeat winner so far. Troy Radford, he won the shootout at Daytona back in July, and then also won the Auto Club race. So I think chances, though, tonight we're going to see a new winner.
Yeah, that's very likely. And of course, I like that you touch on Aaron Smith at the top, leading the way by over 50 points, only 4 races into this season. And you're exactly right. He just dominates no matter what he's driving, where he's driving it. But there's that big opportunity this evening, though. Even if Aaron Smith has started from pole, which he is, we still have a whole race here at Talladega with 100 laps with some stages in between. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of time for things to change. Obviously, a lot of opportunity this evening. It's Talladega. Anything can happen. 39 cars on track. They're all identical. It's going to be an interesting day.
It is going to be an interesting day. And these Xfinity cars are very tricky because, yes, they do get a lot of suck, if you will, or they pull up really quickly to another car. But they're very tricky because the bumpers don't match up and they can easily get turned if you hit somebody wrong.
Yeah, there's that crown on both the front and rear bumpers that NASCAR has actually taken action on. You can't lock bumpers in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Yep. Well, I think we'll allow them to here this evening, but in the real cars, they can't lock bumpers for good reason. There's obviously that risk associated with tonight. Well, it is on iRacing, so these hits won't hurt quite as bad, thankfully, but still. Pushing with these little bits of crowns of the bumpers, a little bit of curve to each bumper is going to be a challenge, and it's very easy if you're moving around on the rear bumper of another car to hook them, whether it's because of the curvature of your front bumper or the curvature of their back bumper. It's very, very easy to hook them, so you've got to make sure you are lined up and holding a pretty wheel when you go to give that push. You also have to be careful not to lean too much on the left rear of that bumper or quarter panel. You got to stay on the right side if you can.
Especially on entry into a corner, especially of entry of the corner. Now, as we go into the stories of the race, we talked about Aaron Smith a little bit. Consistency has helped him hold the points lead so far, and that is one thing that we're going to talk about here throughout this race. Now, we're going to do 100 laps tonight, which is 266 miles. in this race. Now, there are stage racing in this league. So because of that, their stage rules are actually the 40 and 75%. Thankfully, my Florida math doesn't have to come into play here. And I know that 40% of 100 is 40 and 75% of 100 is 75. So we're going to go 40 and 75. And the really interesting part about this league is the winner of the previous race, which happens to, of course, I had it right here off the top of my head. It was Chris Medford. Yep, Chris Medford won at Nashville back the 18th of August. He's going to get an EOL at the end of stage 2, and for the last 25 laps of the race, which granted at Talladega might be most interesting 25 laps, he's going to have to find a way to matriculate his way through the field and to the front again.
And the big thing about Medford winning that last race at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway was he barely did so over some green-white checkers over Troy Radford. Troy actually led the most laps in that race. Chris was able to take the win, though, by the end. And it's just an interesting finish. A whole lot of action coming down to it as we head to the grid.
Absolutely. Grid is forming right now as we get to the starting lineup. The 5-minute warm-up is over, and then we can alternate top 10 here if you want to. Andrew is, hey, look who's up front. Aaron Smith, 54.010 second lap. He is on the pole, and of course these times at Talladega are very, very close. I look at it all the way down to 19th before you get a full tenth of a second slower. But Nathan Bishop, he'll start there on the outside pole. Mike Cook will start inside of row number 2. Alongside him going to be Brian Kaufman, Jeff Napier, and Brian McCann. He'll start there in row 3. Kevin McCann and Neil Quick, those two will start in row 4. Row 5, David E. Brown, Jesse B. King in the one-letter middle named initial row.
Starting 11th this evening from Talladega, Tim Schofield in car 12. Troy Radford, last week's driver that led the most laps and had the fastest lap to his outside. Starting to the inside of row 7 and 13th spot, Chris Wally. The outside is Cook Quick. Starting 15th spot, David Trumley in car 96 with Hunter Tate outside in car 8. To the inside of row 9, that's 17th spot, Brandon Leclerc. Todd Willis starts from 18th. And to round out your top 20 here, we've got Brandon Medford and Dylan Dellinger.
Row number 11 is where you'll see Donnie Lyons right there alongside Kyle Pendergraft in the 14 car. Joshua Funkhauser, Brian Reich will start there in row number 12. Row 13, Gary Ragland, Damon Cox in row 13. Row 14, Curtis Rogers and Bill J. Walker there in 28th. Rocky Battenfield, Hunter Clark, the 54 car starting in row 15.
Starting 31st, it's Mike Harper in car 4. 32nd will go to Timothy Woodson. And starting 33rd, you'll find Jamie Abril, then Dakota Clark 34th. Those are the final cars to turn a lap time in qualifying. The 5 cars who did not turn a lap but are still starting back into the field are last week's winner Chris Medford, then Douglas Wysocki, James Kaufman, Ray Radford, and Matthew Kopp, although it might not be quite in that order. Things jumble around sometimes in iRacing. So we're getting ready to go. 100 laps here, Chris. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we got some onboard cameras for you. Let's start with the Indiana driver, Kyle Pendergraft, with photos of Chase Elliott and Christopher Busher. I guess he's being known as now, thanks to Dale Jr. On board the 14 car. You got Brian McCann, the Carolina driver, with he's got a tux on, so to say, a tuck shirt. What's the proper name for that? Is that a tuck shirt?
Shirt Joe. That works too. A shirt Zito. All right.
I like that better. Yep, there he is, though, in the Carolina driver with the nice background. Mike Cook there, the Virginia driver. He's ready to rock and roll there, the third place starter in the 00 car.
Starting right behind our point leader, Aaron Smith. That's a good place to be.
Absolutely. Chris Medford requested the EL. He got that. Nicholas Smith, unfortunately, has dropped out already, so that's going to be interesting. But we have 38 cars. I'm looking to see if Smith's even in the field. He might be just watching, so that might have been just a viewer watching. But yeah, 39 cars going to lead him to the green. 100 laps, 266 miles as they enter the restart zone for the start of round number 5, the month of September at Talladega Superspeedway. Green flag is out. Thanks for watching tonight on GSRC from Talladega. And right off the bat, these cars getting up to speed. Aaron Smith, Nathan Bishop. This is where you want to get right up on these bumpers and push.
already lines. Well, lines are already formed, but you're starting to see a little bit of tandem on the bottom side, a little bit of momentum gaining in each line. And here we go, down the backstretch. We'll start to see some of those big pushes start to form. And just trying to gain momentum in these opening laps is so important. Obviously, guys that are up front might want to sink back. Guys that are in the back might stay there or try to move themselves towards the front by the end of this first stage. But we are in lockstep formation down to turn 3.
Yeah, side by side. Andrew, I got to ask the obvious question here to you. What kind of racer are you on a super speedway? Are you one that likes to run up? You want to get to the front? Do you want to go sit in the back like apparently Medford maybe wants to and kind of like I like to do? Is there a certain style you like here?
You know, it really depends. This first lap, I like to just kind of sit and wait and see what these guys are going to do, see what the vibe is in general in this top 10 or so. But I like to stay at the back end of the first pack, and I think that's one of the best places to be in these iRacing pack races like this. You don't want to sink all the way back because you can limit your opportunity, but if you can just hang on to the back of the first pack, you're keeping doors open for you to sink back and for you to move back up through the front of the field as we're starting to see that kind of separation out around the 20th position or so.
Yeah, Bishop led that first lap. You see the 00 pushing to 70. There at the front stretch, or on the back stretch, I should say, at the front of the field. You got the 3-car outside lane with the 2. Obviously, those guys kind of keeping that outside line formed up. I've seen a couple of times on that inside line, the 40, the 33 kind of falling off, but that's one thing you got to do. If you want to make your line progress and get yourself out in the front, you got to keep that lane organized right now, and I think we're seeing more of an organized lane on the outside.
Yeah, just a little bit. The 3rd car inside is sinking back a little bit right behind Mike Cock that we're on board with currently. I think that's Jeff Napier in the 40. He's just sinking back. He doesn't want to push the pusher right now. And I like that patience. In general, I like the patience that I'm seeing from the entire field. They know it's 100 laps. They know, I think, really everybody's driver skill at this point. They've been racing around each other for 4 weeks of this season so far. So, and you know what? It's so early in this season, Chris. Only 4 races done of 20. So we still have a lot of time to go. There's no reason for these guys to push just yet.
And you saw on board there the rear deck lid of the 00 car, Mike Cook there. He's just being patient. He's pushing on the straightaways, which I've always felt is the safest way to push. I mean, you never want to push. You mentioned you never want to get to the left rear of that car. The entering portion of the corner, 99% of the time, if you're sitting on the left rear, you might as well get ready to hit the escape button because you're spinning that guy out and you're going to be the caution. As again, 27 and outside lanes off the corner seems to be getting momentum. But when he finally clears, he drops down there, but he leaves the 01 out there. Not sure if that is part of the plan here or if the 27 is going to try to protect both lanes. But that's going to allow the 3, the 2, the 25, those guys there of McCann and Neil Quick and those guys to allow the push. Here comes the 01 back up aside.
And that's the epitome of a phrase I love to use for these races, ebb and flow. We're going to see this exact kind of thing all night long. When these guys are doubled up like this, the outside lane is going to get a run, especially out of turn 4 and around the tri-oval, and is going to drop the lead car down in front of the inside line. And you would think if the run is getting that big on the top side, if the top side is able to go that much faster, why not just stay up there? Well,
right.
If eventually you do, that second car is going to dip down there, take the lead for a couple of laps, but then you'll be right back to battling. It's just how it works on these plate tracks like this, and we're going to see this all night long. Now watch for Brian Kaufman to do exactly that, drops down to the inside line right in front of Nathan Bishop, who put him there.
Yeah. The Brian and Brian show is we're 4 laps complete, pushing each other up there to the front as Kaufman goes to the lead. Now here comes McCann with Neil Quick. And it's almost, you know what it kind of looks like? I don't know if you were a football player or not. When I played football, we did the old, what they called the Indian death lap. It was actually what it was called. I don't know what a proper name is for it. But basically what it is, you ran single file, and the back guy had to go to the front and rotate, almost like a caterpillar, if you will, or whatever. That's kind of what this looks like. Guys on the bottom, next guy pull in. Guy on the bottom, next guy pull in.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of drills like that. Now car 3, Brian McCann gets clear. He's bringing Neil Quick, and Neil's been clear for a couple of moments now, and here goes Jesse King to the top side. Now, I know Neil and Jesse have run together in other leagues before. They're familiar with each other. I'm kind of surprised by that, but it works out for Jesse, who's now commandeering that top side just ahead of Troy Radford, so he's got good company behind him. And now the 3 and the 2 cars get singled out on their own on the bottom side in front of car 01, and here comes a push down this Talladega super stretch, a little bit of contact, and they get themselves going.
Yeah, I was kind of concerned there when that car popped out of line. You mentioned the 25 jumped out of line of Jesse King. I'm like, man, he just kind of hung himself out. But I wonder if it was more kind of looking forward to the 3 and the 2 dropping down, and he and King tried to think to, hey, I want to go ahead and keep that momentum of that top side. That blue car back there getting a little loose back at about 12th position or so. Not sure who that is, but I'm starting to notice that inside line getting more and more formed up, but somehow the outside line is still getting the runs, and I wonder if that's because maybe they're checking up on that bottom lane.
And there really is no break in the pack right now. There's only a couple of cars at the very back, Jamie Abril and James Kaufman, that are sinking way back in this field. I think these guys are going to keep doing this. We're going to see this conveyor belt of drivers getting out to a lead on the top side, then dropping down to the bottom, having to get themselves back into rotation here. It's just going to keep going like this until we have that first break around lap 40. So buckle in, get ready for this, I guess. We're going to see exactly this until these guys either decide to get racy or end up having a stoppage in action.
How much fuel save are you doing right now? Because you mentioned lap 40 just now, and it just come to my head.
Yeah, that's on the edge.
That's right on the edge. I mean, if you're pushing hard right now, which I'm guessing you're not, you might not make it to lap 40 on fuel.
No, I think that's kind of what we're going to see these guys rotate is, they can push for a couple of laps, get out front, lead their lap, whatever, and just kind of cycle around, and then they can sit back in line. Now, Aaron Smith has dropped down to what, the 7th or 8th car in line? I guess 5th car in line on the bottom side. Yeah, he's back there ways. He can sit back and just save now. He's half throttle, if that, and he can just sit back and relax, save that fuel, even though he started out front of the entire field where he would have had to go full throttle his opening laps. He can now sit back and relax. I like that about this as our leaders get nose to tail again.
And that's part of, I think, that gap that we're seeing on that bottom lane. We saw it a few times, and Aaron Smith right there actually is backed off about a tenth or so from the 27 car. You wonder if that is actually him just kind of half throttling it down the straightaway, and it's allowing the other car to kind of pull away a little bit. So, yeah, I think you're right on it there with those guys potentially saving fuel. Is we come by to complete lap 8. I think Brian Kaufman or somebody's having some blinker issues, as I always like to say. Get some blinker fluid for that, man.
That was Brian Kaufman through the tri-oval. He comes back in. He's just on the nose there. The 27 car, Nathan Bishop, who is now sunk way back. I'm impressed, though, with the 3 and the 2 on the bottom side. They are pushing right now, and I think there's no fuel save right now for McCann or Quick. They are trying to keep themselves in the lead, especially McCann. He's trying to keep himself up there. Eventually, Radford and King, I think, are going to rein King and bring Cook Quick into this as well. And we've got actually both Quicks up here. I love their names. I've covered them in another series. I love their names. Neil Quick and Cook Quick are up here, and they've got beautiful racing names. And here you go. The onboard is Brian McCann. You can see he is enjoying his time out front.
I want to know if that's really a brick wall next to him, or is that a green screen?
I think that's real, yeah.
That's impressive.
You can see his monitor there in the foreground, too. So he's got himself set up down there. It looks like he's maybe in the basement, or maybe that's just the living room wall. I don't know, but he's having a great time regardless.
The tuxedo is awesome. I'm sorry. I'm distracted by that.
I'm so happy he's out front leading the show. He's the chauffeur of the field right now on lap 10.
Well said. I mean, I might have to start racing in a tux or something. Might be a little expensive and uncomfortable.
And he's got a big run right now with the help of Neil Quick. He's actually, both of them were clear of Jesse King there for a moment. Kaufman is having more issues. Yep, that was Brian Kaufman having more issues in that red, white, and gray 01 car. And there is now a big gap to the inside line. I don't think Cook is going to go down there. I think Cook Quick is going to stay there.
Wow.
That puts Bishop down onto the apron, nearly at pit end. Kaufman is holding ground. Bishop onto the apron to the tri-oval.
Well done to organize through that. That usually, that could spawn a big wreck. Well done by the 27, even by the 01 when he comes back.
Here we go for lead.
Yep, 3 wide up front. This is what we were waiting on. Here comes the 94 up top. Going to bring the 6 with him, 94, Troy Radford. And the 25 is stuck in the middle with the 65. That's the 65 of Todd Willis up the middle there. And you see that outside line, it killed the momentum. That move right there killed the middle line.
All of that disorganization, Chris, just got these guys all kinds of jumbled up, and it opened the door for some moves like that. Troy Radford made a quick move, got to the outside, but Jesse King reigns supreme in the middle. But he's 3 cars back now out of the lead as that top side really falls off. It's tough to get a third line going here at Talladega.
Trying to see that orange and black car, his 4th car way up in the outside lane there. He was dancing a little bit there off turn 4. Not sure if he just had to crank the wheel a little bit too much there, but I saw him get a little loose. Dylan Dellinger, I believe, in the race. Yeah, he fell out and actually has come back in. And as soon as he gets on track, it's going to be about 3 or 4 laps down, it looks like, in the end. So unfortunate break there for the 5 car. But yeah, now that outside line is kind of organized back up. But that's one thing, is when you're the 4th or 5th place car outside in that lane, I see this a lot in the actual Xfinity race, is it kills the middle lane when anybody decides to just jump up top there and grabs help, because it just kills the energy of that middle lane.
Yeah, I think you've got to stay 2 by 2 if you want the top side to go places. At least the middle lane is what it becomes then. That third line up top, it really does just move things around. That little bit of extra turbulence back there, it starts to ruin the momentum, ruin the energy that they get going. You've got to have conserved energy, I think, in that second line to get going. The third line tends to ruin that as a couple of cars are still trying to get that going further back. I can't quite tell who that is just yet, but a white car, a black car, a yellow car, they're way up there. It's the 51 of Chris Wally, the 57 of Damon Cox, and the 33 of Kevin McCann trying to get things going.
Yeah, it was Kevin McCann that got loose off turn 4 a few minutes ago. Do you see the 97 kind of joining them? Now, you'll notice in this series, if you're one that's new to watching this right now, it's very similar to the old IROC series. If you remember back in the 90s and 2000s, back when obviously there would be 12 drivers running, I believe at the time it was Pontiac Firebirds, and it changed into later, of course, into the series, but they would run 4 races a series. This series is similar to that, except they bring in a NASCAR style race. So that's why you're seeing similar sponsored cars everywhere with different paint schemes on each car. So that's where it's just, we're getting used to calling these names out and that kind of thing, but it's definitely putting on a great show so far.
Jesse King taking the lead across the line that time, nosing ahead of Brian McCann, bringing the 65 with him of Todd Willis. The 00 in this now as well on the top side, that's Mike Cook. We got the 48 even joining this, Curtis Rogers. I'm not sure where he started, but it wasn't very high in this field. 27th. He has definitely made a track, from 27th. Wow, up into the in spot currently, fighting for 7th.
And that's part of the patience. I mean, when you get that conveyor belt going, people are making lane switches and that kind of thing. It's one of those you just ride. I mean, there's nothing you can do right now. Yeah, you can try to go 3 wide, but if you have no help, it's like you just got to be patient and take what you're given right now. I mean, you're only 14 laps into a race right now. There you see Curtis right there, as you mentioned, the gain of 19 positions already, as Curtis in the 48, 4th car outside lane right now, just kind of hanging right behind the 3 others there in front of him. There, the 00, Mike Cook is there to 65. Todd Willis, he started 18th. He's up to 4th, so he's also kind of moved up midfield. But, of course, in racing, if there's comers, there's goers. So who's falling back out of the pack? How about Chris Wally? Down 13 spots to 26. 21 spots down. Kevin McCann started all the way up in 7th, 28th. There's Chris right there, the Florida driver. The boss man, as I like to call the owners of the league, the boss man, running right there in the 26th position. So those guys are probably just riding, especially when they got 3 wide there. They probably said, I'm out.
Even Aaron Smith back there now in the 16th position. Jeff Napier with him. They've dropped a lot of spots. And that's the ebb and the flow. Like you said, comers and goers here at Talladega. That is part of it. Across the line one more time. That completes lap 14 of 100. Down to the inside goes Todd Willis is right on board here with Pendergraft. He's working his way through the field now into the 8th spot in car 14 on that bottom line behind Cook Quick. And the bottom line just gained a car because Todd Willis took the lead out front in car 65.
Yep, Willis to the front there, and that's another lead change. That's the one thing that I've continued to try to any kind of technology company that works out there that with broadcast, of course, if it's ATVO or if it's SDK or whatever you use, it's like I'm waiting for that one service to use lap leaders, because it's like we kind of have to go blind unless you're keeping track in the old tally in paper, writing things down. It's like you have no clue how many lead changes you've had or how many leaders or that kind of thing. But I can tell you right now, we've had at least 5 so far in this race, and Jesse King's about to try to make it another one.
I know he's led a couple of laps. I think Mike Cook on the top side might want to get out front and put the 00 in clean air a couple of times. Curtis Rogers is in line to do that as well, and even the 21 car of Brandon Leclerc if he can get there. And Pendergraft can move up to the top side and use that top ebb and flow to get him going. The 8 car, Hunter Tate sitting back there. A lot of guys are kind of getting themselves ready. They're extra rounds in the chamber maybe to get that top side rolling and change this lead a few more times before the end of stage 1. And at this point, everybody has had a chance to save fuel. We're getting closer and closer to all of these guys making it 40 laps.
Yeah, I would think they're going to be good to go now. I mean, we really haven't had that one guy dominating and leading the whole time. Oh, that was close, 21. I think that's the
Leclerc,
car. Leclerc just dove to the bottom there. It was one of those, and it's really, you got to be very careful when you make that move, because if you start getting indecisive and you put yourself in the middle, that's usually when you got one car to your inside, one car to your outside by the time you've made your decision. And you're done for. He got real lucky, and the inside was still open enough for him to make that move. But you mentioned 18 laps in. It is the 65 of Todd. What you talking about, Willis, leading this race with McCann giving him the push, and then Jesse King, Mike Cook, Neil Quick, Curtis Rogers, and then Cook Quick all up there. And the one thing that they've done a good job of, and they being Jesse King, and Mike Cook and Curtis Rogers amongst the others is once they've gotten up front, they've stayed up there. There's not really been that shuffling of pushing them to the back. They've been able to make moves and stay up there.
What surprises me out of the aggression for Brandon Leclerc was the fact that he made that move so confidently without an in-person spotter. He's using the iRacing spotter or maybe crew chief or something, but he doesn't have a person in the session spotting for him. And usually that kind of confident move comes with an actual person spotting for you, because it's difficult to kind of think about that as a driver. Like you said, usually by the chance you consider it, by the time you consider it, that hole has generally filled itself up. So it's really tough to make that confidently, but he swept on down there in front of Pendergraph, made a little bit of communication there going on, and made that move work as King gets a run here on the top side down the Alabama super stretch. And
I think
see
that's
if
a
he can
great
grab
point.
the lead.
Yeah, I think that's a great point you mentioned, because when you use Mike talked about he's going to have to jump out of line here or something. He's starting to get a little hot there trying to push the 25 there. But you bring up the point about the spotters. I mean, if you use the Crew Chief app or the iRacing app, or if you use one of the driver packs that are out there and stuff like that, you don't get the whole.
Oh, wow.
Somebody's coming. We got pit stops here.
Yeah, we've got pitters here. Maybe these guys were thinking, whoa, the 12 car way in, and he's going to hit the wall on the inside. That is the 12 of, actually can't find who that is.
That's Tim Schofield. The 12.
Yes, Schofield.
Schofield hitting the inside wall. That is one thing that, I mean, when I run a super speedway race, it's almost automatic. You practice pit stops, and even then, it's he might have practiced it and still messed up, but that's going to hurt the 3 and 33 as we look at the replay again here. And unfortunately for the 12 car, it's not beautiful bean footage here. As he's going to go around, he just gets down on it, downshifts a little bit there, and you wonder if he wheel hopped into the corner there. That's another thing I like to not do. Believe it or not, when I'm out there on a super speedway, I do not shift until I'm on pit road. I'm just going to stay in fourth gear. I'm going to use the brakes, because then I don't have to worry about wheel hopping. And you know what? I wonder with these pit stops, they must not be able to make it. 23's coming in. Both the quicks are in. Here comes, let's see, who else? Aaron Smith is coming in. Tim Woodson is in. And more wrecks. The 23's around over here on the front in the pit road.
Cook quick. Neil
Both
Quick.
the
The quicks. I will say for Schofield, he definitely just chirped the rears a little bit, downshifted too soon, over-revved the rear of the car. But in the case of Cook Quick and Neil Quick, we'll have to go back and get a look at this on our GSRC replay. Let's see what happened to these two brothers into the pit lane for the first time today under green. They both made an interesting decision, and look at that. Wow.
Way late.
And that takes out Aaron Smith out of the pit lane.
No, and he missed the cone, so he's going to get a penalty likely there.
That is huge. That is your point leader, Aaron Smith, that just had to miss that crash and got into the two-car just a little bit. But Cook Quick, a small error, very similar to Tim Schofield, just overrunning the rear of the field as more cars come in.
More field. This is like off the field. There's a couple cars coming hot. Oh, 4 wide. Oh, and there goes the cone. The 83 got it. That's going to be a penalty.
Here's the replay of Aaron Smith. You see Cook Quick just come across the racetrack, kneel there in front of him. Big time wreck avoidance. Gets a little bit of a ding there to the nose, but nothing too bad.
And the 8 is around on pit road now. We got trouble everywhere.
The 8 car. This is crazy.
The 8 car has destroyed his front end here coming to his pit stall.
Aaron coming back in to serve his pit stop. There's Hunter Tate in the pit lane. You can see he's lost his nose. And everybody else going to feed back onto the track. There goes a 21 car.
Around.
Leclerc. My goodness.
Where's the Benny Hill music?
Are we getting rain?
Well, I mean, I was waiting the last couple Enduros I've ran. It's like I was waiting for that spontaneous surprise that they would decide to just open up the rain clouds on us, but they never did.
More stops here. 3-4 wide into the box. Here comes the 54 onto the pit lane. Hunter Clark goes off and will miss as you see cars coming back onto the speedway trying to rejoin. Our field, Chris, is completely turned over on its head. Everything is awry, and it's going to take a long time for these guys to sort out exactly where they're going to be and try and get back into a rhythm here. We're not going to see the same kind of organization we saw the first 20 laps of this race.
Actually, you know where the pack might be? It might be all the cars with the penalty.
Yep.
You might have the big pack there, but no, in all seriousness, just craziness entering pit road.
And here's your leaders.
14. Yeah, Pendergraph there. Those guys had the pit stop help there, so that obviously tells you that they could not make it to lap 40 on a tank of fuel. So that's very interesting here when it's all over with. But I want to go back to Aaron Smith, the points leader. The best move he made out of that whole deal, as here comes the 14 to pit road right now, is he did not come back to pit road when he went around the cone. He stayed out on the track. If he comes back on pit road, it's an unsafe entrance.
Yeah, Hunter Clark did the opposite of that, came in with the penalty and just had to sit on pit lane for about a minute or so. Some leaders onto the pit lane. 4 cars get to pit this time as you see some more drivers in the pits. Mike Cook, Jeff Napier, David Brown, and David Trumley still on the racetrack down the Alabama Gang super stretch.
And it looks like
they should come in this time.
Yeah, so the cars that I have right now, the last ones to pit are going to be those 4 cars. And then it should, if it cycles out correctly to the McCann brothers, are going to be first and second. It looks like a pack of about 8 to 10 cars are going to be in that pack. As here they come to pit road. Those 4 leaders I mentioned, Cook, Brown, Napier, and Trumley, those guys are going to come on pit road. And I'm sure they're going to be very conservative here after what is taking place here.
And I'm surprised in all of that, Chris, we didn't see a single yellow. We saw a whole lot of mess-ups, but no yellow flags and all of that. And that's one reason, actually, I love waiting to the end of a pit cycle, like these guys did right here, being the last cars on pit lane, waiting on something to happen, because you never know. You might catch that yellow and be able to pit under caution flag conditions. Well, didn't quite work out for these guys. Kevin McCann, Brian McCann, you're right, with the first cars to rejoin, and they'll bring Troy Radford, Jesse King, and more as these guys work off the pit lane.
Yeah, as per usual super speedway style, when you're the earliest to pit, usually you're able to get the run, jump up there to the lead, and that's exactly what the McCann brothers have done. They pitted at lap 19, and they're going to jump to the front, and they're going to be first and second with Troy Radford, and this pack of cars, 54 almost gets in the way there. That wasn't so pretty at the moment, but Jesse King's going to be up here in the second with Trey Radford. Chris Wally with a great pit stop there in the 51, Nathan Bishop in the 27, and here's Chris Mepford, I'm going to take an EOL to start the race. He has slowly worked his way all the way back to the front. It sits in the 8th position right now as you see that lead pack going around. Obviously, a pack of 3 or 4 cars is going to be a lot quicker than a pack of 2 on this track, but the good news is those 2 held the bottom lane, so we've made it through the first round of pit stops, and let's just say it wasn't pretty, but a lot of them got through it.
And I was wondering what Troy was going to do when he got to him, if the tandem maybe between the McCann brothers could work out and keep them out front, but not quite. And you see Radford, King, and Moore work to the outside, Wally going with them. Except the 27 of Bishop and even Mefford, as you mentioned, in car 46, working to the outside and using that advantage. Now that bottom side getting trapped in behind a lap car, you can just see it as, from the rear here of Troy Radford, as Nathan Bishop goes fastest last lap.
Yeah, that's Brandon Mefford, actually. So Mefford's probably going to get help from his brother here. They're going to stay in the draft. So looks like we'll have a single file line here forming up for just a minute. I say that, and there goes the 33 jumping up top, the 33 of Kevin McCann. So, yep, we've made it through the first round of pit stops. It looks like right now is, as you mentioned, Trey Radford leading, Jesse King, Chris Wally, Nathan Bishop, and Chris Medford, your top 5. And I say that, Jesse King goes to the bottom. He's going to take the lead here with help from the 51 of Wally. So not sure if there was some miscommunication there or if Radford just got caught napping, or did Radford go up to try to pick up Chris Medford there in the 46. So maybe some work there amongst friends or something.
And with stage racing in mind, Chris, you usually look around at the top 10 cutoff. Well, it's just as exciting down there around 10th place, although fewer cars are in line. Brian Kaufman is down there. He just gets passed up by David Trumley. Oh, you can see it on screen now. Here comes the 00 of Mike Cook around the outside. This whole bunch just got really jumbled up last lap. There was a lap car in there, and they all moved around. That brings now the 7 of David Brown into the 11th spot. Things are moving around, and guys are all over the place in cars and on the inside. Actually, 01, Kaufman down there. I think that was Willis. Yes, Willis is on the inside and crashed.
Yeah, not good there for Willis. Unfortunately, Todd is down at the inside wall here.
Car
Turn
65.
number 3. It looks like the 65 is off. No caution, I believe, but let's see what has happened. But I was actually keeping track of that second pack with you there. And one thing I noticed is that they are actually
Watch Kaufman. Watch the white car at the bottom of the screen.
Oh, he gets hooked. There's a bumper hook. And unfortunately goes down into the 65. Just unfortunate, innocent bystander.
And that was the lapped car of Timothy Woodson in car 18 in position 35 that hooked the 01, and that's going to ruin a couple of days, unfortunately, but that is part of racing at Talladega. The 65 nearly goes over as soon as he digs into the grass. Watch that with the green 65 car here in a second. A wallop of a hit for the 01. The 65 digs in, and it tried to go over, Chris.
Yeah, the 01 actually almost hit where the crossover gate is, where the cars, I believe, I don't know if they still do to this date, but that's where they come on the track to go into the infield at Talladega. So I don't know if that's still the same or if there's a tunnel there now. But look up front now as things have changed. We have a pack of cars now. Look at the 14 of Pendergraft going to the front. Outside lane, he's got some help there. That is the 51 there, Wally, who is continuing to just be that pusher out there in this field. But this pack is getting bigger, and if you look back at about the 12th position, you got another pack. Yep, 3 wide here. You got another pack at about 8 seconds back right now from these guys. So it looks like this first stage is going to be decided amongst 11 cars, as they are 3 wide here for the lead. It's the 25 of Jesse King.
We have 9-10 cars. We're going 3 abreast for the race lead, and a few more cars, I guess, tagging on there at the back. This is wild stuff out front. Now, I see a question out in the YouTube chat, actually. Is it just a Chevy Cup race? Well, it's the NASCAR Xfinity Series Chevrolet Camaro that these guys are using for their IROC style series. So, yes, you are seeing just Chevrolet Camaros on the racetrack. If you're brand new to this series here on the Global SimRacing Channel, well, first off, welcome. Secondly, this is an IROC style series. IROC being the International Race of Champions. Spec cars, all the same car, all the same aero coefficient. It's a whole lot of fun, and these guys are really putting them to the test here at Talladega.
Yeah, McCann just made a move there, and great question, by the way. Appreciate you watching on the chat, but McCann just made a move, and I thought Wally was going to shut the door, and I'm like, oh no. But cooler heads prevailed in the end, but look at that, the 3-car, Brian McCann out front. And as far as I know, that's not the former baseball player.
Out of turn number 4, these guys are going to work down to the start-finish line and complete the 30th lap so far.
Yeah,
and this pack goes back through the, let's see, the 11th position. There's a 5 car at the back end of here, which is a lap car. That is the 5 of, and I'll find him here in a second, I believe.
Dylan Dellinger. He's the one that blinked out.
Dylan Dellinger, yes, 39th spot, 4 laps down.
Yep, Dylan's 4 laps down, so he's basically there just hoping for a, I guess, a yellow here, because if he gets a yellow, obviously he should be the lead lap. As I'm looking, everybody right now,
well,
actually, no, we do got other cars that lap down, it looks like, so he would not get the old lucky dog. But that doesn't mean he won't take the wave around or something. Here's, once again, 3 wide to 51 getting shuffled out.
And that could be Chris Wally just trying to get out of the lead pack for a second. I guess the lead part of the pack for a second, drop back a little bit, and work on something here for the back end of the stage as we look at our leaders side by side. This is going to be an interesting little battle, and you see Pendergraft just taking the race lead, King with him. I don't know how they're going to work this out. McCann has seemed really good on the bottom side, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get down there.
The best pairing I have seen so far, if I had to use kind of an evaluation so far of this race, has been the 3 and the 2 car. Those two, it seemed like when they got up front, they were able to stay up there. Where everyone else, it's been pretty much, all right, you take the lead, next person gets the lead, and it's whoever you're pushing them out to the lead right now. Speaking of the 3 areas outside, he's got the 94 with him there of Troy Radford. So, but just off of evaluation right there. But so far, we're 32 laps in, 8 laps to go here in the stage. And, of course, there are 2 stages tonight at the 40 and 75% mark. And if you, even if you don't know how to do math, 40% of 100 is 40 laps. So that's where the first stage will end, coming up here in just 8 laps. So the 14, though, of Kyle Pendergraft started all the way back in 22nd position. He is up front there inside lane with about 7 cars there. You've got 7 cars outside lane. Is 14 cars in this pack with a lot of wild racing so far, but this has been great so far to watch. I know as we go on board here, this is the 51, I believe, of Chris Wally. Oh, that 7 car jumped up in front of him. That was kind of questionable. But it looks like
and Pendergraft just got swallowed up in the sucker hole here at Talladega. He moved to the top side. Jesse King now on the bottom. A lot just happened down the backstretch here at Dega. And now the 3 car leading once again. McCann nosing ahead out front through turn 3 and 4. He's got the help of Radford. And now Pendergraft is behind the 94. And I was just about to say, I didn't think Troy had enough help behind him. Nobody was really getting up there to push him. But Kyle Pendergraft might just do that. He's been a little more aggressive so far today. We might see him lend a bumper, even if he just uses the bubble of air to get the 94 going. I think Troy just needs a little bit of help to get the 3 car going and get that cycle working again, as, man, the 54 and 14 nearly touched.
Now, one thing I should factor into this, all of these cars up at the lead of the pack here, they all had less than 10-second pit stops. So that tells me they either took 2 tires or went fuel only on their stop, which means these tires are probably pretty greasy, which is allowing these cars to kind of slip and slide a little bit around this track. So that's a whole nother factor that we get to add into this. So wild racing here so far, as you see, still side by side, McCann and King, as don't go 4 wide. Saw that green car jump out.
even within this stage top 10, Chris, we're watching the 83 and the 54. Those two are racing to be the lucky dog, the first driver one lap down at the drop of this caution flag. So the 54 of Hunter Clark, is trying to get going on that top side to pass Brendan Mefford, who is safely in that bottom right now, third in line behind Nathan Bishop. And that 54 now is sent to the backpack, and with nobody behind him, no help up top, he's going to have to try this all over again.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I think the 54 or the 54 car, I think he's going to need to be, and how weird this sounds, a little bit patient. And the reason why I say that is because he's jumping out there by himself. He's going to need to form a run. He's going to need to find somebody to get with if he's going to have a chance. Because now you look at the 83, as you mentioned, Medford, he's third car inside lane. 54's tail end Charlie right now back. He's going to have to go past, 10 cars to get to the 83. So this is going to be a very tough situation to do as we come up to 5 laps to go this time by. In this stage, you see one car kind of poking out there, 5th car outside lane, and who's going to be the first one to make that aggressive move like we saw a second ago as we see McCann start to edge out, and you see the inside lane kind of falling apart again here. I think that's going to allow McCann to get a run off top side here.
He likely will. He's been looking good the last couple of laps. Radford has a little more help in the form of Pendergraft. And now that bottom side, like you say, is a bit more disorganized, a bit less energy, but they're holding their ground really nicely. The 25 and 27 are working really well together. Those are Jesse King and Nathan Bishop. And I think McCann could get clear of Jesse King, but he knows he's got steady help in the form of the 94 of Troy Radford. We'll see what he opts to do here in the next couple of laps if he tries to go down there and leave the top side out to dry, as they're starting to form a third line back there. The double lot of Mike Cook and the 54 of Hunter Clark starting to go as, well, Wally's going to split him in the middle.
And what a move there. Nice job up there in the middle by McCann to get up there and kind of block that run. The energy, as you mentioned, of the 94 and the 14. That 3 car doing the right thing here, and I think you're going to see the 25 get a run, going to give him a bump. I think he needs to jump up, and it's too late. It's just that quick. You see the outside line come in, the 14 pushing the 94 there. But this is where it's going to get tough. Here comes the 51 up the middle with help from the 00. That's going to hang the 7 out.
It's so tough to play Pied Piper if you're Brian McCann right now. These cars are really touchy as of late. They have a bit less spoiler to work with to keep them planted to the ground. It's really tough to play Pied Piper, and I'm glad he didn't yet. I think we might see that by the end of stage 2, especially the end of stage 3, but no Pied Piper just yet. No reason for McCann to swap lines, although he might here as Radford gets a run through the tri-oval down to turn 1. 3 to go on the stage.
And again, you mentioned the spotter thing. We started to talk about that a little bit ago. When you're using the crew chief app or you're using the iRacing program or any kind of a driver app, the one thing it does not do is when you listen to an actual crew chief, usually it's like, okay, depending on what the preferences of the driver, it's like, okay, you're 20% outside, or this guy's right on your door. He's 1 lane, he's 2 lanes, or whatever. You don't get any of that stuff. So when there's a car to your high side, the only thing you hear is car high. Unless you've got a way to look over to your far right and see that 94, right now that 3 has no clue that the 94 is about a half a lane up.
Yeah, it's really tough, especially when, again, you're working with an iRacing or a digital spotter of sorts. It is very tough to make those decisions on the fly. So I think you're seeing, well, yeah, these guys are trying to play it a little bit safe. Here we go to the top side. Goes Pendergraft, 3 wide across the line, 2 to go in stage 1.
Pendergraft showing the aggressiveness there. And look at Wally's going to jump to the middle here. That's going to hurt the top side now and allow the bottom side to move
Radford
on.
with an option to go low.
Down. 94 needs to move down.
Maybe not. He's got the help of Wally.
Now he does, yeah.
King stays in line. Bishop down there.
Here comes the 0.
Stays low. And the double lot. Mike Cook through the middle. What a race.
This has been good so far. Here comes the 33 up the middle.
The other McCann.
Yeah, both McCanns coming up the middle here as the 94 goes to the front. As they come to the final lap this time. Remember,
this is going to be interesting.
Is this where I do the reminder like they always do on TV? The start-finish line's down there, turn 1.
Mike Cook, not much energy. He's got Kevin McCann, not much help. There goes Brian McCann to the top side to help his family member. I don't know if it's brother or father or whatever in that middle line. Brother, we're hearing from Joe Piak. I love that name, by the way, Chris. Here we go. Troy Radford to the middle line.
Do we have something here?
That was Wally down low.
2 lap cars coming up, by the way, that could play a role here in this finish of this stage. But you see the 94s getting that push of Radford. McCann giving him a good push here with the 00 behind him. Mike Cook, as you mentioned, can that inside line get any kind of energy? Does the 94 stay up? He does. That opens the door for the 51. This is going to be a drag race off turn 4, it looks like here. That outside line's very organized, but not moving. Bunch of those 2 lap cars up ahead, they're going to get spared here by the yellow, it looks like. But as they come tri-oval, McCann jumps topside. Can he get the run on the 94? He's going to go up the block, but it's going to help. And the 51 of Wally's going to win the stage.
What a finish for stage 1. And guess what? We've got 2 more finishes on the way. The end of stage 2 and the end of stage 3 to wrap up this race. We're going to see a lot more of exactly that.
Hey, how weird is it that the guy who runs the league wins the stage and throws his own caution? Is there any irony there? But hey, great job by Chris Wally and crew there of winning stage number 1 of this race. As you mentioned, they'll probably all come to pit road here. And then from there, it's going to be, we'll see if I do the math real quick, about 30 laps, 32 or so laps in the stage here. So it's going to be very interesting to see what these guys do. I would think under caution, you're going 4 tires here, correct?
Definitely. And, well, you actually might not. If you are really trying to gain some spots under this pit cycle, say you're Aaron Smith back there, you want to just go for fuel only. It's only going to be a splash. And I'm noticing now a fuel limit of 60%. That's going to restrict things even in this next stage. We're going to have another pit stop on the way. It's really 6 to 1, half dozen the other. You either come in and get tires, and it's a nice safe bet, or you try and go without tires, and the car is going to handle okay. Fine, I suppose, but you'll get some track position out of it. We'll see, I think, a mixed bag of strategy.
Well, you just mentioned that 60%. That obviously is a number that, learning the rules of the league and stuff like that, 60% fuel, that changes things. You're only going about 25 laps on a tank of fuel. So, yeah, that's going to be very close when that thing is all said and done as they catch up to the pace car here. So Wally, King, McCann, Radford, Cook, Bishop, McCann, that's Kevin, David Brown, Chris Medford, Kyle Pendergraph made that move and fell all the way back to the 10th position. And looks like Brandon Medford will be the recipient of the lucky dog. So for Hunter and others who are a lap down, you have to wonder, do you take the wave around here and chance that a wreck comes? Or do you go ahead and bite the bullet knowing that another caution's coming and take the tires and fuel?
Everybody will visit the pit lane, that much we know, but do they take 2 tires, 4 tires, no tires?
I'm going 4 here.
I think if I'm a leader, I'm going 4. We saw how pit lane went. If anything, you can sit back and wait for the chaos to ensue at the next round of green flag pit stops and just be, calm and patient, and you should get some of those spots back.
We'll see how everybody moves here. And the best way to tell when you're watching an iRacing race, if you've never watched, is watch the car lift. Because unfortunately, we don't get the pit crews or anything like that.
A lot of fuel only.
There's a fuel only. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing. No cars really lifting off the ground. Now, if I'm in mid or back, I'm taking tires here. But it looks like it will be
no
Chris
tires,
Wally.
Cook no tires. McCann does take 4 tires. I think it was Will Marvin, too.
Yeah, so I'm seeing it looks like Wally, Cook, Pendergraph, no tires for those guys. Everybody else jumping on the tire bandwagon. It looks like Curtis Rogers, maybe 2 tires.
The other thing you can do here, Chris, is take tires during green flag pit stops, set yourself back a little bit, and then take no tires at the second stage break and move back through the field a little bit.
That's going to be interesting. We'll have to think about this a little bit as we get ready for stage number 2. As you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel, we'll be back with stage number 2.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Stage 1 completes here from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway on iRacing as you're watching the Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series. Round number 5 here from Talladega as we just got done with Chris Wally scoring the stage win. Now next week, should throw this little teaser out there, is the first Dash for Cash race that this series does. So looking forward to that fun coming up here on the schedule next week from the Rockingham, or formerly North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. So that should be a lot of fun coming up next week, the first Dash for Cash race. But tonight, we got to conquer this giant of a track. Now, I'm gonna throw you on the spot here, Andrew, as we come to the green. There was a famous Cup team that was built in the first Talladega race by accident because of the whole protest. Do you know what team that is?
I couldn't tell you.
Richard Childress Racing was actually formed that day because
Makes sense.
RC was
running a lot of Camaros, yeah.
Right, back in the not modifieds, but the Sportsman Series and stuff. He was one of the drivers that showed up for that special event that Bill France said, look, bring your ARCA cars or whatever, let's race. Richard Childress was one of those cars and opened up Richard Childress Racing that day. As Wally comes to the green flag, gets a pretty good jump there, probably too good of a jump in that outside lane as Mike Cook tries to get him up to speed. I say that as the three of McCann jumps down to the bottom. All of a sudden, it kind of gives that inside lane a little bit of an advantage here, but did Wally get too good of a start? Pendergraft's been pretty aggressive here. See if he jumps out.
Bottom side, 3 strong out front. Here comes the top, the double lot, the 25, the 7, the 71 back there. Even strength now almost in the very front of the field. Wally sinking back. Here comes Cook. Here comes King. Here comes the 7 as well. David Brown to the top 5.
King with a real good push all the way from turn 2 down the back straightaway. He's going to push Cook out to the front. And the 25 is going to kind of back off here as everybody kind of scatters out. And look at this, the newcomer to the top side there, the 71 car. Everybody say hello to Gary Ragland. That red and gray 71 running top side, 3rd car in lane. Now remember, this stage goes to lap number 75. So we'll get to the 25 to go mark. So, and remember, in this race, the winner from last week goes to the back at the end of this stage. So if you're Chris Medford in this point, I'm assuming you're in the front trying to get stage points, but at what point do you say, okay, I'm going to be starting in the back anyways, just go back there?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I just haven't been in one of these situations. I'm not sure how these drivers are going to play it. What I do want to kind of mention real quick is thinking about fuel, right? If we get green-white checkers, we are right on the cusp of having fuel or not, and it comes down to if these guys are able to save fuel under that green run to the end of the 3rd stage here. So I think that's another thing you got to set yourself up for. On this last stop before the final stage, make sure you get your time in the pit lane. Make sure you get your car full. I know it keeps you there until it's full, but just make sure you don't underfuel things. Maybe come back in that extra time, put yourself in the back of the field, and make sure you got fuel in case you go that extra distance.
So do you tempt going back in at 1 to go and topping off the tank?
Yeah, definitely.
So at that point, obviously, you're restarting tail end Charlie in the field here. As you take a look at McCann there in I believe it's McCann, right? I'm still trying to get used to it. So there's McCann. Yeah, that's McCann in the 3 car, the Carolina driver. Driving one-handed. That's me, boys. I'm going to ride in the pack one-handed.
Just relaxing right now. Brings that second hand up. Adjusting something over. Oh, he's getting a drink of water.
Watch this, boys.
There you go. The life of a sim racer. Grabs his glass of water, takes a drink, just hanging on to it right now, chilling to the tri-oval.
That is not
one-handed to the tri-oval. Yeah, on the very bottom.
That is exactly one thing, and that the thing about a lot of people don't know, that bottom groove in the tri-oval is less banked than the regular part of the tri-oval.
And it's real bumpy.
That's true, too.
A lot of bumps down there.
I got this. Just drinking water. High-quality H2O.
Sitting 5th in line on the bottom side, racing side by side with the 57 of Damon Cox. Just behind Kyle Pendergraft. Asking his teammates a question, yeah.
Picked up at I think he has probably a 4th monitor up top there. It's like, am I on TV right now, Mom?
Now, it'd be really cool if he looked over and smiled at us real quick. That
would be, or waved to us or something.
Yeah.
Easy.
Use a knee to steer for a second, Joe. Use a knee to steer.
Put your knee up there like I used to drive down the highway.
Yep. Jesse King still leading David Brown second on the outside, but we could see some knee steering here. These cars, they do handle just nicely enough. I think you could do that for maybe the straightaway and into the corner, but that'd be a little scary.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you always wonder when you're out there in these kind of tracks, you get those people that sometimes will show up out here, and it's like, what are you driving with, an Atari controller or something? But here comes the 7 of Brown coming to the front. What can Brown do for you?
The 71 is all over the place. Raglan, bobbing and weaving, zigging and zagging at a caution.
Caution on the track. It is
one back there, 5 or 6 cars.
Yep, Clark Medford looks like involved. The 54, the 17. Trying to see who that is. Is that the 83 involved? The Medford.
Yep, Hunter Clark, Dakota Clark. Big issues. GSRC replay coming at you. We'll see what happens back here. One car up top, making it 3 wide in the back of the field. Somebody did definitely hit somebody.
A checkup
up top, and the 54 and 17 were not ready for it. A couple of Clarks sparking this first natural caution of the day.
A-car doing a good job of missing. I'm trying to see where that actually starts at. It was a big checkup. Being told the 01. Yeah, you know what it is. See, everybody's checking up. 5th car in line. It's usually that 5th or 6th car. The 2 car gets hit by the 54. Hey, Joe, if we could, once we're done here seeing this, let's go back one, because I want to bring this up. This is something that I always see in real life, too, and they bring it up, and it's something I'll bring up to you, is how this checkup happens. And you got to look up like 7 or 8 cars when this wreck happens.
The 97 had a really big run, but I think it even starts ahead of him, maybe with the 81. The 81 and the 20 got separated into the corner. The 81 lifts a big time. We'll probably see it here in a second. That's Joshua Funkhauser. He lifted a bunch into 3 and kept a gap, and that just caused a chain reaction through the entire field. Watch the 81, that black and red with a white numeral on the side. Watch him at a turn 3. He's going to leave a big gap, and this was a shakeup out. Oh, that's actually after it happened. I'm trying to go off of 3 or 4 monitors here, but that big checkup just causes a big crash.
Yeah, basically, it's always the 5th or 6th car, as I mentioned, that usually is the one that doesn't get checked up, and it causes chaos. Right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's the wreck.
And yeah, there's initial contact from Neil Quick. Well, Neil Quick was ahead of these guys, and the 54 of Hunter Clark nearly runs into him. The 17 of Dakota Clark didn't get the message, and then the 01 comes in and makes more contact and really wrecks those guys up. Right. Just really big chain reaction in the back end of the field that catches up Jeff Napier as well. Looks like maybe the 47 just narrowly gets by his pit stops and back away in the pit lane.
So unfortunate break for those cars. Second caution out. A lot of cars coming to pit road pretty much 6th on back. All coming in, topping off the fuel cell here to get them into stage 3 here. That's going to be an interesting strategy. And I should mention those who are fans of Todd Willis. Todd actually went behind the wall at lap 26, and we have not seen him come back. So I'm not sure what happened to the 65 who led some laps earlier in this race.
Recall, he was the one down on the inside. He was that green car that spun on the inside of 3, with the 01.
So he probably, I don't want to use the word rage quit, but he stepped away. Let's put it like that.
He's there. He could be waiting on damage.
He is still there. That's true. Maybe he blew a motor.
Potentially. Yeah, that's very possible. I wouldn't have thought so, but it's absolutely a possibility.
All right, so we have 5 cars. Jesse King, David Brown, Curtis Rogers, Jamie Abril, and Bill Walker have stayed out here while the rest of the field came to pit road. So now this comes to question is we're coming up to 23 laps to go at this point. Do those cars not think they can make it either way to the checkered flag without pitting? I mean, it's an interesting strategy here.
We're right on the verge.
We're right on it.
I mean, we are right on that line. I think, this will be a great test of whether or not these guys can do the 3rd stage on one tank. I was just doing some math, and if you call it 38 laps, you're looking at 60% of 38 laps. That is, 22 and some change. So that is right. I mean, it's going to be close.
I'm watching the Medfords right now back there. Cook Quick and those guys, see if they come back to pit road here.
I think the leaders staying out right now definitely are saying they don't think they can make it. The guys further back that just pitted, I think, are going to try and come back in and are gambling a little bit to see if they can do it. And this is actually a big time learning moment for them in specifics to try and see if they can do this run to the end in stage 3. And here they come back onto the pit lane to get more fuel. They're going to try and do this. A very similar situation is going to happen in 25 more laps. This is a lot of information they're gaining.
So this is both Medford's and Doug Wysocki, who have come back to pit road. They're going to top off the tanks here at lap 52, which is 23 laps. And, of course, they're going to have the chance to ride in the draft there, save a little bit, because you got to remember, you're on the throttle 100% of the time. The only time you're not, well, I guess it wouldn't be 100% then. The only time you're not on the throttle is if you have to check up or if you're missing a wreck. Otherwise, no matter what, if it's 2%, if it's 50, if it's 98, you're on the throttle the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of checking up in the back, but you're right. If you're out front leading in line, or even in the back leading in line, if you're leading a line at all, you're on the throttle. You cannot be lifting. If you're further back, you got to lift instead of, some guys trail brake to keep a gap and they keep the throttle matted. Well, you can't be doing that right now. You've got to save some fuel. Unless you're these guys that stayed out, you've got to pit still, unless you get another caution flag. Those guys can stay full throttle if they want to and just use the brake to kind of modulate that gap ahead, but we'll see what these guys can do. Only 3 cars opting to come back in. A lot of the field did stop, but only 3 came back in.
You got to wonder, I'm thinking these guys got to be banking on a caution happening. That's my obvious guess
5
here.
For sure.
Yeah, so King, Brown, Rogers, Averill, and Walker all going to stay out here and be the top 5, and then the rest of the field has pitted until all the way down to the 27th positions, where you'll see Wysocki and both Medfords, who are on the tail end of the lead lap. Those guys came in and topped in at the 1 to go mark. That's one thing we should note, that if you're not one that has the super speedway knowledge, on iRacing, all cautions are exactly 3 laps. So you have literally 2 chances to come to pit road, and if you don't pit the first time around, you're done coming to pit road. So very interesting. As I look through the field here, coming to the green flag, got one car that looks like a modified back there, I think, or maybe not. I'm trying to see if Joe's screen looks like mine. It has a modified back there. But we're coming to the green with Jesse King, David Brown, Curtis Rogers, Jamie Averill, and Mike Cook coming to the green as the flag man, who I believe is Soup tonight, waving the green.
Oh, a choreographed restart up front. King, Brown, Rogers, Averill, and Cook all getting in line. I think that's why you just saw them stay out. They must be working on something here up front, trying to get something going for themselves. Really nice restart.
Kind of a
19.
Oh!
Walker walks the 00 up the racetrack.
That got real tight real quick, and that's going to allow that inside line. Got the first, 5 cars single file, first side-by-side. The 00 is going backwards. And there's that 94 car, as I mentioned, Troy Radford with Pendergraft, who has easily been probably the most aggressive driver in the field tonight. That 14 is not playing around.
There was a lot of pushing and shoving between the 19 and 00 at that time out of turn 2 off of the restart. I'm surprised they didn't crash, as here comes a move from car 48. Curtis Rogers control the top side in front of Radford, blocking that top line and its energy. Pendergraft and Radford tend to work, it seems like, work together really nicely tonight.
Rogers trying to get that outside line energized up there with help from the 94s, as you mentioned, but doesn't look like there's really much right now. You got to get closer to him. 7 kind of blinking out a little bit. How about the 19 of Bill Walker inside lane, as we get kind of separated out here at the front. So I think, again, that brings up the fuel mileage part. I think you're seeing right now the drivers that are, okay, we know we're not going to make it. We're going to go. And then you got the drivers back here that are like, well, 4 wide into 3. Here comes the 12. On a mission top side. I just looked up and I saw 4 wide because you got people checking up and saying
that could have been a really big crash.
I mean, he was just now hold my drink. I'm sailing it right now.
And you know why you're seeing that separation, by the way, in that second group, is you've got Aaron Smith, Kevin McCann, Brian McCann back there, guys that pitted and guys that are in pretty good points positions, guys that are racing for a lot in this series, trying to kind of math this race, trying to work it out and make it work for themselves, especially Aaron Smith. He's always thinking of numbers in there and trying to make something work for him. Obviously, he's got 50 points to work with, but would like to make that 60 or 70 points if he can.
Well, I tell you what, that 12 of Tim Schofield looks like he's got like 50 horsepower on the turns. And I think that's from everybody just kind of checking up and saving fuel. As you see that middle and outside line starting to get a run here. But watch Schofield here. It's like everybody slows up and he just starts passing cars up there by himself. And, of course, this time they all stay in the throttle. but he's got help from that 97 of Rocky Battenfield. There's another name we haven't said all night, so Rocky looking to punch his way to the front.
Yeah, Battenfield is actually in that checkup into 3, but was able to get away without contact, and good for him. Now inside the top 15.
Blinking.
Got a lot of blinking going on right now in that 15th spot area. I can't tell who it is just yet.
The Nathan Bishop?
I think it is.
27. Yeah. More blinker fluid needed.
Wally up top. Radford with a hole down low. He'll skip that opportunity. The 20 will fill it. That's April. April at one point, by the way, when we were 5 or 6 laps into this race and we had just a couple of cars at the back in 39th, 38th, April was one of the 2 single cars that were at the very back end of the field and nearly lost the draft. He was 38th at one point and is now in the top 5.
With what I'm seeing, he might want to consider that again, because they're getting racy up front as here comes Wally topside with the 12, as I mentioned. They're, what, 3 wide, 6 rows deep, almost back from the 3rd row as Wally leads that outside lane, as I mentioned. And look up front here is that 48 still trying to get the run on King. I think it's safe to say so far, Jesse King's led the most laps, I think, in this race, because he's been up there a pretty good portion of this as Rogers getting there with help from the 94. And here comes the 51, the 12, the 97, the 96. Everybody's up front.
Inside of 20 to go on the stage. A lot more of the leaders of this league are sinking back. The points leaders like Aaron Smith, they're falling back as other drivers see the opportunity opening up in front of them and racing to the front of the field here on the backside of stage number 2.
Great push by the 12 down the back straightaway there. Is going to end up getting the 51 out there to the front. Now, here's one thing I should mention. Schofield's a lap down. He is up here trying to get his lap back.
And he is the first car on the, first lap down right now. Hunter Clark is the car he's racing. He's in the back end of that very top line right now.
Oh, 12
the line is Schofield gets the wall a little bit through the trial. Well, that's not going to help you get that lap back. Now, sinks down. He is all over the place. He's going to hook the 14 of Pendergraft. Big crash. David broke the wall. April, the 12 is in the air. Schofield, crowd surfing. More checkouts, more crashing. Wow.
The 7 involved, the 14 of Pendergraft, the 3's spun out.
Massive, massive accident. That is the big one.
The big one. On the south
here
side,
on the GSRC replay, Schofield was bobbing and weaving, zigging and zagging.
It's loose.
And comes down and hooks the 14 of Pendergraft, hooks Wally, and you can see all chain reaction from there. A big hit from Brown right there, and the 12 is going to pop in the air and crowd surf for a second. Oh my goodness. I'm thankful those are pixels.
Yes, very much. Everybody pretty much stopped. That's a track blocker right there. I was watching the gold car up top. I'm like, he might make it through, and there was no.
There was a secondary incident we'll have to get a look at if possible. Guys like the 4 of Harper were involved in a secondary incident behind these guys just trying to check up for this crash. It's so tough when this kind of thing happens. There's just nowhere to go oftentimes. We'll ride on board. It looks like a Brian McCann of the 3 car and kind of see what happens further back in the field.
And he's going to.
They're all going to scatter. Yep. They're all going to scatter here in a second. Smoke ahead, on the brakes, searching for the apron. That's his brother, Kevin McCann, down there. Nearly gets into Harper. Drives through the grass. Austin Dillioning was his way through, at least trying to.
He spun out, but no, he made it through. But you see the damage on the 97 involved?
Yeah, Battenfield nearly went over.
Yeah, Schofield admitting he got loose. I mean, obviously you saw the right rear come around there. You wonder if he just maybe turned the wheel just too quickly or something, and it spun the car around. But unfortunate deal there, and that's going to take a lot of people out of this race. But again, remember, there is one reset, or as I like to say, one fasty reset here that those drivers use. And for those who don't know what that is, basically it's where you get to go put the car on pit road and basically get a brand new car. Price is Right style. Bam, it shows up and you get to go back on track. As it looks like second place, Jesse King's going to lead him on pit road.
I'm counting somewhere in the nature of 25 cars involved.
Holy moly.
And these guys, they'll have a faster pair to use, but this is a lot. And some of these are just little dings in the back in that secondary incident we saw, but somewhere around 25 or more cars involved in this crash. That is large, even for a 30, especially for a 38 car field.
That is not the most in Xfinity history, in the Xfinity car. You go back to that 2002 race. Jason Keller won the race here at Talladega. It was an early wreck with Kenny Wallace and I want to say Shane Neal, Scott Riggs and Kenny Wallace came together. Johnny Sauter ended up on his lid, and everybody just come piling in, and it ended up being 27 cars involved in that wreck. And I remember the finish of the race, it was like 3 cars the whole entire time just going around. I think it was Keller. I forget who the second place car was in that race, but I know Jason Keller ended up winning the race. But it was, you can go on YouTube. It's everywhere. I mean, that wreck, I mean, you just join YouTube for the first time and it'll show up in your watch.
Worth noting for the guys up front, 5-6 cars staying out. Those are Radford, Leclerc, McCann, Cook Quick, both McCanns actually, and Damon Cox. They've run 10 laps on this fuel, tires potentially. These guys are using this caution to bridge that gap, Chris. They should be good in this stage, definitely now with this yellow flag to just save fuel, batten down the hatches, and get ready to go for a shootout here at the end of stage number 2. It'll be around 13 or so laps once we go back green flag racing. Everybody behind that, though, Jesse King back all the way through. Hunter Tate have all pitted. Hunter Tate, it looks like, will stay out for some reason. Then you get some guys that I think are trying to work against damage repairs. Hunter Tate may have been the lucky dog.
And as I'm looking through the field right now, cars that look like have had to go behind the wall to get damage fixed as they don't have the reset. Looks like Jeff Napier, Chris Wally, unfortunately, stage 1 winner. He's behind the wall now. David Trumbley, Kyle Pendergraft, who arguably might have been the most aggressive driver in the field tonight. He was out there making all types of moves, and I mean that in a clean way. I don't say he wasn't being too aggressive. He was just out there making moves. Looks like he's off track as I see Napier come back on now. It looks like Wally's coming back on track. So a lot of these guys getting damage fixed. And it looks like Kyle is back on track. So Pendergraft, and I'm guessing, is that the hot dog stand logo in the back? Okay. So he's part of the podcast, the hot dog stand.
Has he been talking on the podcast during the race?
Yeah. I wonder how he feel about ketchup on hot dogs.
It is
hot dog a sandwich.
Joe was asking us, yes, it's a sandwich.
I will say yes, it is.
A taco is a sandwich, a quesadilla is a sandwich.
I've never thought about that way. I've never thought about a taco or a quesadilla. What about a torta?
You've got starch, then some kind of meat or filling, and then starch. Even if there's a connection to that starch, filling, starch. That is a sandwich. Sure, sushi could be a sandwich. No, I know. Yeah. We're talking to the nice voice in the skies, but yeah, sushi could be a sandwich. Whatever you want to call a sandwich is a sandwich. Sure.
So, that's interesting now to think about it. I'm thinking about all these sandwiches now.
I know the crash we just had was a lot of sandwiches in turn 1 and 2.
No kidding on that one. So would like one of those lettuce wraps be a sandwich then?
Well, it's funny because I work at Jimmy John's. It's exactly what we do. We have what's called the unwich, and that it's a sandwich.
That's actually where I thought.
Yeah. We wrap that thing up. We wrap it like a sandwich. It's a sandwich to me, I guess. That one, I'll admit, there's no starch. So I mean, there's some leeway. It's like an organized salad.
You didn't bring me a number 11.
Sorry, man. It happens. Wasn't prepared.
Yeah. Freaky fast.
We've got these guys lining up at the front of the field. Pace car lights have been extinguished. Troy Radford, Brandon Leclerc, your top 2. And Chris, this is going to be a fun little shootout at the end of stage 2. 14 laps?
Yep, 14 laps to go. As you mentioned, top 5 all pitted at lap 50. Everybody's good to go to the end of stage number 2. Of course, people got the resets or damage fixed. A lot of people getting EOLs, it looks like, from either being involved in the accidents. I actually overheard a conversation with Aaron Smith, who was wondering why he got an EOL. So that's kind of an interesting situation going on with him. But Aaron's going to start all the way back in the 18th position right now as we come to the green flag with Radford, as you mentioned, Leclerc, not Charles, McCann, Cook, and McCann. A law firm up there in the front right now as we come to the green flag. 94 waiting to get on it, and he does. I'm surprised.
Cook went nowhere. The 23 is hurt.
Yeah, you can see the rear end of that car's damaged.
He's going nowhere off the start. He might be okay at speed, but Cook Quick is going backwards quick. And here comes the 57 to try and help Damon Cox. They're stacking behind.
The brothers going to go to the front, 3 and 33. Top side there. Here comes the 21 of Leclerc, as you mentioned. In the 81 inside lane, Josh Funkhauser. We have not said his name all night, so add him to the list of those playing bingo of names we've mentioned.
there are not many cars left with a fast repair in the bank, and that is evidenced by several modifieds, as you called them, on the racetrack right now. But your top 5 all have them left. Radford, McCann, King, McCann, and Funkhauser. No, not Funkhauser. Leclerc, rather, all have a fast repair left. Funkhauser actually does not. He has used his.
Looks like about 13 cars breaking away here in the pack. Looks like Ray Radford may actually no, I'm sorry, Matt Kopp, the 22 car, gonna be the last one in the pack of these cars that are breaking away right now without damage or at least being affected by cars with damage. I mean, you can see the right rear of the 23 as I've looked at it. This what looks to be the Strickland propane car. If you ever ran a King of the Hill paint scheme, I actually had one in an Xfinity car that looked almost identical to that. I would have to unbiasedly say that's my favorite paint scheme. That car right there, that blue 23.
And it looks like he's okay at speed, but I don't know if he's got some engine damage potentially, or if it's just that right front damage. He's been in the wall or the side of another car at some point. You can see, that the hood, the fender, it's all crinkled right there ahead of that hood flap. He's got some problems. I don't know if it's just the aero or if it's aero and mechanical, but it did not go anywhere off the restart. He might have also been in third gear potentially and just, not downshifted. We don't know, but at the very least, he had some kind of issue and he's got the damage to correlate.
That's a fair point. And you know what? You just reminded me of a question I saw on social media, and I'll even ask this out to you. And if viewers want to answer this question too, I think this is great for this track, especially the Cup cars and even these Xfinity cars that we're out here running. The flaps on the car. Of course, when you get up there like the 25 is right now, Jesse King, he's pushing the 94 car. Should those roof flaps work and actually be deployed while you're pushing?
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be
real
fantastic. That would be awesome. And it's created by negative pressure that builds up under the hood and it pops those open. That would be amazing to see. That would really bring the realism into things even more so than we already got. I mean, this is already a fantastic platform iRacing has built for us. And it confuses a lot of people. It looks like real racing so often. But that would really, I think, just push the limits of what we've already got going on and bring that extra realism in as the McCann brothers control the top side of the racetrack. There is another line building, James Kaufman and Aaron Smith, way up top, painting the Larson line up there, the Dale line up the wheel, and they're going to use that big checkup. Here they go, soaring on the top side of the racetrack, the 41 and the 70.
And they are soaring. That 41 car up top.
This is going to be... that's close. That was Wally.
Well done.
And Cook Quick says, no, I will get down to the bottom and stay out of that.
Abort. But, and you know what? That lap car actually right there, and Wally did nothing wrong. He held his lane. He did exactly what you're supposed to do as a lap car, but it destroyed the run that those guys had on the top side.
Oh, they probably had a lift and everything. That's one of those Code Brown moments, and I don't mean UPS delivering your package. That is a tough one to go through when you've suddenly got to squeeze 4 wide like that, especially an entry of a corner because the car is already unsettled. But here we go. That top side is working nicely for those guys. They're committed right now. That's what it is. They're committed to the throttle. The other guys, they're lifting. They're moving around. They're unsure. They aren't able to commit to the throttle. And here we go. 3 wide for the race lead, lap 66.
Aaron doing a great job of tandem pushing that 41, even with the dent in the rear. I mean, that's got to be tricky here because I've always been hesitant. When I see a car with damage, I'm scared to push because it's already scary enough when you mentioned the little bit of a point that each one of these cars have on the Camaro. It's like it does not match up with the
it's
rear
like a
end.
gear. It's like a gear now. The nose is going to fit perfectly into that concave bumper, and it's going to hook it if he gets it just right. Oh, wow. Somebody was down at the bottom side of the racetrack, I think. But it can absolutely catch that just like a gear. It fits into another gear and actually hook that car around really quickly. So he's got to be careful. So far he has been. But you know what? You want to push on the right side anyways. You could just get right on that rear taillight and push there.
At the same time, is that front end able to fit right in there squarely now with the dent?
Maybe not perfectly squarely, but darn near.
Either way, though, 81 there, bottom side. Hey, I mentioned that 2002 race. Jason Keller drove the number 57. 4th car, middle lane. There's the 57, Damon Cox in this pack. So, hey, who knows? History repeating itself on iRacing. Who knows? But there's Damon on board with him. The Virginia driver. Somebody's out there having fun.
2/3 of the way down.
Pretty much, yeah. 66 laps in. 33 to go. We're 7 laps from, or 8 laps, I should say, from the 75 lap, which is stage number 2. Who's going to get those bonus points? Oh, 20 gets into the 57. He almost wrecked off 2. 20 had too good of a run and got into the back and had to bail out. That was almost UGLY.
No, came down. That was not clear. Kaufman came down in front of somebody, and now there's there goes Battenfield on the top side of the racetrack, letting all these guys go by. Two very sketchy moments that time out of 2 and into 3, but here we go. Reform to the top side. The energy going to the top. Aaron Smith up there, 5 cars versus 4 up front.
Yep, McCann, Radford. The 2 McCann brothers up there on the top side. Radford has King with him on the bottom side. They've been pretty much up there since the restart in this race. But it's a matter of who wants to get the stage points. I did notice Cook Quick has gone all the way back to the tail end. He saw enough of the argy-bargy, can I use that word, out here on the track. And the game's going on as we ride on board right in the middle of a drink. I think I know what that beverage is. I saw mountains.
Yeah, I saw Metallic Can. He's sitting back. Oh, 47 car in his right rear, though. That was close.
Hey.
As Ray Radford looked to his right side.
One of my slogans I like to say here is this is one of the only times in the world you can drive and drink, if you will, and do other
Drive
things.
and vibe. I like that, Joe. Drive and vibe, our producer tells us. Yeah, it works out as Mike Cook is sitting back there. He's got a nice view of what's going on up front as Aaron Smith goes back to the top side, back to the attic, if you will. Using somebody to try and...
they almost wrecked. The 71 back
close.
here in 46 and 83, those things, they wrecked without hitting anything. Holy cow, I looked up and I saw one car sideways. That was absolutely crazy.
Aaron Smith moving that 57 car to the race lead. He is going to put Damon Cox out front into turn 3. Here's a GSRC replay of what Chris just saw.
I was about to comment the beard being very underrated on Mr. Cook, and then I saw this.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if that was just going up to maybe protect the lane or just not being aware or something, but that was bad almost.
Trying to throw a block.
Back to the front, 3 wide, coming for the lead, and here comes another lap car. Guess what? You're 3 wide, and here comes Wally. Is this a trend or something?
Well, that car is so beat up. He's just trying to hang on right now. No minimum speed, thankfully for him, as he's able to keep lapping. But this is going to constrict these guys again. 3 wide, 3 rows deep on the top side. This is going to be interesting as Wally stays low this time.
They were 3 wide when they passed Wally last time. Try the low side this time.
Hey, you know what? On a straightaway, that's the best time for it to happen. That was perfect.
They're not, Joe. They cleared each other.
That works out, though, and that doesn't kill momentum for the 57 and the 70 up top. Damon Cox can still get a run through the trial this time.
As we see McCann there in the 3 car getting pushed by brother. Brian getting pushed by Kevin. You wonder if they've ever done the whole webcam thing from the same room or something, like racing with each other. Be interesting. Also wondering if they both wear the same tuxedo thing.
Or if one's inverted. One's white with black and one is black with white.
That's awesome.
Just gave them some ideas as they go 3 wide in the backstretch. This is crazy stuff, and Damon Cox now completely clear of the other 2 lanes. Aaron Smith giving him a big shove down the Alabama Gang super stretch. The 41 sitting back of Kaufman. Still 3 wide. Cox does not leave his pusher.
None of them leaving each other. Everybody committed to each other, which is obviously really cool.
Oh,
and that's, man, they're getting closer, dancing out there a little bit here as we get closer and closer. Going to be 3 laps to go this time by as Radford clears to the front. What lane do you want to be in, Andrew?
Whatever is going to move forward. And I think at this point, it's going to be the top side, and I think it's going to be in front of car 70. He is pushing a ton. Aaron Smith is really doing some good stuff up there. Our point leader didn't think he was going to be quite this aggressive on a speedway, but he is doing it. Oh, never mind. That was contact with the 57 and 21. I think that was close.
I want to be in the middle. I want to be that 3 car right now.
I don't mean the middle just almost got hit?
I want to be the 3 car is what I mean. The middle lane is where I want to be, because I feel like that even though that top side can drag down the 3 car with a little side draft or something like that, it just seems like that middle lane is able to get the push. And when you're side by side, it seems like you're able to get that push off the corner and carry that momentum. Now, right now, not so much. But watch how
I think I either want to be in front of Jesse King or Aaron Smith. Look at the bottom. Yeah. Troy Radford has not left the lead of that bottom side for 10, 15 laps now. I say that, and it might change. McCann gets clear. He might drop down, but is he going to leave his brother? I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't want to be the 20. I don't want to be the 21. I don't want to be the 33. I don't want to be the 8. Have you figured out what lane they're in?
I don't know. 2 laps to go here in the stage. 1.5 maybe. This is going to get interesting. RG Bargy is on the way, Chris.
Yes, we're going to have some interesting racing coming to the finisher. You thought stage 1 was wild. Get ready for this one as they go through 3 and 4. Again, that middle lane kind of feeling the energy a little bit. Top side's been getting the energy off the corner. Here comes the 00, who was riding for a little bit there. Outside lane contact, and around goes the 51.
April turns the 41, and we're crashing.
Only 3 cars actually involved. That's going to end the stage.
McCann, I think, the leader. It might have been Radford.
We'll have to see with the replay when the caution light comes out. Actually, in iRacing, it's what, timing and scoring, I believe. But caution comes out there. It looks like the 20. Let's see if he gets down here. As they come off turn 4, the 20 is going to hook the 41 maybe, or a little, maybe some. Yep, that's straight hooking. And then the 51's like, hey, what did I do? And the 20 is going to go spinning. And he's the only one. The 51 goes spinning, but then the 20 is going to get the grass. 41 is going to save it. And the 20, unfortunately, is going to go beeline towards a pit crew. Thankfully, hits the gap in the wall, or what would be normally a gap. Mark Martin, Michigan style.
It is just barely going to be Troy Radford. Scored the race leader, it looks like.
And that does go by scoring loops, I believe, on iRacing in this situation here. So that's where Radford will get stage number 2. It will be Brian McCann, Jesse King, Kevin McCann. There's the hook. There's your flaps.
They work, just not in that draft.
Just not in the
when
draft.
These cars get backwards.
Heck of a
but yeah, that was a 360 get back rolling. Doesn't tear too much up.
I know of a famous IndyCar race that was won once by something like that.
Spin and win.
85. But needless to say,
This will end. And you know what? This ends the stage 1 lap early, Chris. This is going to constrict the fuel game. This is going to be interesting.
This is interessante, as I like to say, as Radford brings everybody down pit road. Now, this is one of those cases that I've done this plenty of times, and I have a guy named Drift that I'm real good friends with that does this a lot. This is one of those, I'm in the back of the field. I am like purposely, accidentally, oops, I missed my pit stall. Move. Go right on through pit road. You come back around. You come in and get your tires and fuel. At this point, you come to the green flag at the back of the pack.
That is.
Didn't think about it never like that, did you?
I did not, and it seems like these guys are not either. As they all come in for looks like fuel only, get back on the racetrack. That's, I think, the right move right now. Especially if we're looking at not having to pit again. If we do, I think if we have a caution, which is very likely, given the style of racing, well, that changes things again. It makes it easier. It's going to be a real interesting run here to the end of the race.
Absolutely. And we're going to reset here and get ready for stage number 3 of the Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series as we are entering stage number 3 from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway as you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
All right, we have less than 25 laps to go. As a matter of fact, we come into 23 to go as we get the green flag here in round number 5 of the IROC Challenge Series presented by Spartan Transportation. Appreciate everybody watching tonight here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Appreciate the viewers here on a Thursday night as we get ready to potentially, could this be considered the witching hour of the race?
Consider it whatever you want. This has been the money caution, the money stop, and we might be looking at a situation where these guys are 1 lap from making it, and maybe even a lap and a half or 2 laps. I mean, this is going to be really close. A few cars came back in. A few cars are down on the apron trying to save fuel. This is going to be oh so close on fuel to the end of this race. We're expecting these guys of about 22-ish laps of fuel, and that is with a full tank, as I think the caution has just been extended.
Well, this is huge. Get back to pit road.
A lot of the field staying in their order. No, you've got a pit right here. The pace car is back on the pit lane, but the lights are back on.
Yeah, here comes some cars to the pit road. Radford's coming in. Napier's coming in.
Wow.
If I'm in the front, I'm coming to pit road here.
Missed opportunity for everybody up there. McCann, King, McCann, Smith, Cook, Leclerc. Big time missed opportunity for all of those guys.
Oh, and you know why I think this happened is because they did not give the EOL to Mefford before the green here, so he's getting the EOL right now to go to the back. So, hey, take advantage of the whoopsies. But no, this is interesting here because what we're running into is we're going to get into a portion of this race where we're going to see either people be cautious and get out there and run, and you're going to get people saving fuel and that kind of thing, or we're going to get the equivalent of a NBA 2 minutes fourth quarter game, which is meaning we're going to have cautions and we're going to be here for a long time. I'm hoping for the first.
This is still helping these guys that are on the racetrack that did not pit. This is helping everybody. This is now fewer laps under green, another opportunity to save fuel, and you only end up using a few tenths of a gallon on these caution laps if you do it right. Yeah, I mean, you are saving so much fuel if you do this right. Put it in 4th gear, clutch, shut the car off, all that. So these guys are still probably saving a lot in this double file formation like this, but I still think if you were anywhere from like 5th on back with as much as this field is going to jumble up, you got to come in. And I'm surprised a lot of those guys didn't, but they also might not have had enough time to think through it and actually take that opportunity. Really interesting scenario that we've got playing out before us.
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. And even trickier type of move. I don't know if many people know of this kind of move, but this is where if I'm coming off pit road, I've already got it in 4th gear. I'm leaving pit road in 4th gear because the more higher gear you're in, the less fuel you burn with the revs coming off pit road. So did anybody try that? Because, I mean, you almost got to do anything you can in this situation to max the fuel, because here we go, 23 laps to go. If we don't get another caution, it's coming to the finish line, and we could have a situation here where the leader runs out in front of the pack and you got a huge wreck coming to the checkered flag. But look at this. We've got about 8 rows of side-by-side, and everybody else is single file, but we have McCann, King, McCann, Smith, and Mike Cook all pitted at lap 75, and they're going to try to go 25 laps on a tank of fuel here as they enter the restart zone. Green flag in the air as they get up to speed. Will these guys be conservative and try to just get in line and save fuel, or are we going to see some wild racing through fuel save at the same time?
Yes, that second one. We're going to see wild racing and fuel saving. This is going to be a lot of fun to the end. And these guys might have had just enough opportunity to save fuel onto that yellow. We might see these guys just get there. I think we might see a few cars sputter at the end. It's going to be a lot of fun. Side by side already. Aaron Smith pushing the 21. McCann brothers up high. Down the backstretch.
As I hear, looks like Jamie Abrams going to come to pit road. And here comes Brandon Leclerc coming to the front, with Aaron Smith helping their bottom side to 27, back up in there, Nathan Bishop. And these guys getting side by side, just picking up right where they left off here. So you wonder if these guys already know they're not going to make it on fuel. So at this point, they're just going to race hard and come to pit road at about, halfway maybe, if not run the tank all the way out.
April pitted under that yellow. I'm surprised he's got to pit again. I wonder if he's got some kind of penalty.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Everybody else out front staying out. Nobody else pitted that lap. And I wouldn't expect them to. I think at this point, you've got to commit. You've got to try and run this tank as dry as you can and get to the end here.
Fuel mileage might actually be the helping to calm the storm, if you will. As I say that, they about wreck about mid-pack there in this lead pack. But you wonder if the fuel is going to help these guys maybe stay in line and kind of limit the 3 widing, kind of limit the runs and that kind of thing. When we stay like this the whole time, if so, there might not be any kind of wrecking until the end of this race.
Yeah, it might be that way. As you see Mike Cook, the 7th spot, working his way up the top side, sitting in behind Jesse King, ahead of the 81 of Funkhauser. In a pretty safe spot right now.
Death grip on the wheel there, probably. Beard. I mentioned a little bit. That beard is high class right there. That's a good
definitely one. Admire that one.
That is Sean Ambrose-like. Hi, buddy.
Brian McCann getting clear currently of the 21, but he's not going to leave his brother just yet. I want to try and get both of those cars clear of the 21 on the inside of Leclerc. It's not going to happen. Aaron Smith helping that 21 down low. Mm-hmm. And Mike Cook has a front row seat for it all as they fire down into turn number 3.
They do, and look at this newcomer into the 4th row inside lane, Hunter Tate, the 8 car. Well, we've not seen an 8 car at victory lane at Talladega before, once or 10 times. But either way, you got the 3 car, 1 or 10 times in victory lane. So what do you know? Seems like the numbers are coming to the front now. But side by side is, mentioned the McCanns, who have done a great job tandeming up. They're not leaving each other's bumper at all up there at the front as Kevin continues to push Brian. As they come up to the lap car, the 20 going another lap down after that accident he was in. Good to see the pit crew not injured in that situation.
And Chris, the top driver that pitted again under that last yellow, Brandon Mefford. He's 16th, working his way up. He's back there with Troy Radford, Kyle Pendergraft, and others. They're just trying to get in line on the top side. Pendergraft down low, just trying to find their way through this field. They're a little ways back half of this front pack, but certainly room for them to improve. You see a lot of damage there on Mefford's machine on the nose, but it's still roadworthy. It's still moving on, and he's trying to go forward now to the top side, the very top side.
As Damon Cox creates a 3rd lane, and that was actually created from the front as the 21 of Leclerc jumped up to try to block the 3. It caused everybody to check up, and the 57 forced himself out of the pack, and it's created a 3rd lane. Here comes the 83 with him up their top side, Brandon Medford, as they start to kind of get racy here. So, again, you start to wonder, is fuel really not a factor when it comes to these drivers? They know they can't make it. They're just going to go. And look at that top side roll. Troy Radford there, 94 car. He's the first with the topped off tank, we'll call it, I guess, from that extra lap of caution. And they're weaving everywhere here.
The line is starting to see the advancements from the top. They're starting to move up and block. Brandon Leclerc, Brian McCann, they're starting to see it as Smith leads. And you talk about these guys being confident, starting to run, and maybe think they don't have enough to make it. Maybe they think they do have enough to make it. Maybe they feel confident in their fuel saving under the caution flag period to be able to go this distance. We knew it was close already. That first lap coming in early was kind of difficult. Then the extra lap of caution made it a little bit easier. This is going to be interesting, and it's all over the place. I really think you've got a big grab bag of guys who have saved enough under the yellow and some who maybe haven't. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how this works out as Brandon Leclerc nearly gets clear of the 70 again, nearly dropped back down in front of Aaron Smith, and a shakeup further back, the 48 down on the apron, Curtis Rogers.
Yeah, unfortunate deal there for Rogers. He's able to save it, though. It looks like they're inside lane. He should be able to get up there, and actually he's letting off the gas again there, so I'm not sure if he's just trying to get his wits back together or if something's really wrong with Charles. As let's check the GSRC replay here. What happens? He's trying to squeeze in line there. Maybe a little check up there from the inside potentially.
Just lifted, got loose, lifted at a weird point in time, and some contact there. I think that was the 80. No, that was the 96.
96, yeah. The car might have got light there and caused him to get loose.
Yeah, it did. Yep.
A little light on his feet, as Clint Boyer likes to say.
Well, 4 wide nearly as we come back to the race leaders out of the GSRC replay. Kevin McCann looked to the inside of Brian for a second. I didn't expect him to go there, but man, he nearly did.
Wild racing up here. 21 Leclerc has gone up to the middle lane now. He's got both McCann brothers there pushing each other as we come across the line next time. 15 laps to go. Of course, the question, can they make it? Can they not? Will they wreck? Will they not? That's all the will they or not questions I have in my head. But either way, it's going to be wild here. I was kind of wrong. I'll admit I'm wrong about the whole calming and trying to get to the finish thing here. These guys know that they got to get to the front here. And remember, the big wreck happened earlier from about the third row. So that can happen anywhere as Aaron Smith gets out there and pokes his nose in the lead.
And these are old tires. These guys have not been pitting for tires every single time. They've been taking a lot of fuel only. So we will see the handle on these cars start to go.
Contact 0057. Oh my gosh, they saved it, I think.
Wow, they did. Just barely hanging on to it. You see it there. The field scattering. We're going to stay green. 14 to go this time. Smith leading on the bottom. Leclerc up top. McCann pushing that 21, trying to get him ahead. See if maybe he drops down in front of the 70 again. That would really, I think, make Brian McCann's day.
How's that webcam with Cook going now? Just kind of curious. But he might be throwing hands up in the air or something right now. That was a wild save. There's Mike. He's like,
there you see him.
He's all calm. I got this.
He's sitting back a few cars. He's got a much calmer perspective right now than Brian McCann and those other guys.
As some people I know once said, he is Ford focused. Right there, looking at the front. And everybody side by side here, working their way through 3 and 4. Let's see, that's the north side of the track over there near I-20. You can actually see that portion of the track over from the highway. Got the campgrounds out there in that area. The race that it was the last race I can actually say I ever went to with my dad. 2011, the tandem race with Jimmy Johnson winning by a nose. And if I remember correctly, I believe Dale Jr. actually has the trophy of that race.
If I remember correctly, he gave Jimmy the big assist. So, I'm not entirely surprised by that, as Hunter Tate is now in this conversation, poking inside the top 4, moving McCann back another spot.
Funkhauser joining this battle. As you mentioned, Josh King back there. Gary Ragland there in the 9th position. So I think we're starting to see those guys feel pretty confident now in what they have as we come to 12 laps to go right now. So,
and Chris, you still got guys like Harper, Radford, Pendergraft, Wysocki, Mefford in this lead group.
They're just hanging out.
Quick is still within a shot to win this race. David Trumley back there. Even Neil Quick. Donnie Lyons, the top 20 is all in this top group with an opportunity to win this race and 12 more laps.
The big losers in that contact with the 00 and 57, Damon Cox and Bill Walker, they have lost the pack. They're about 3 seconds back, and they are free falling away from the field right now. So unfortunate deal for those guys after that near accident. They are going to be hoping that somebody hits somebody or Netcode makes an appearance or something when this thing's all over with. But right now it's down to, as you mentioned, about 18 cars in this lead pack as they come through the tri-oval.
20 even. Donnie Lyons might lose the draft this time. He's starting to fall back of quick. Now he sucks right back up. 20 cars in this lead group. Doesn't look like 20, does it? But there are 20 of them still here. Chris Mefford up to the top side for a moment. This is crazy stuff that we're about to unleash here on the 2.66 mile superspeedway of Talladega.
Number one rule of superspeedway racing: if you're on the lead lap, you can win it. So basically,
I wouldn't even hate to be in Damon Cox or Bill Walker's position. They might not win this race if we go to a white flag with this current setup, but if there's a big crash, they can easily still top 10 or top 5.
There's a modified. Modified number 40. Oh, he's in the wall.
Jeff
no
Napier.
front downforce, in fairness. I mean,
10 to go this time.
Cool. The engine's staying cool in that car, I'd say. Yeah, 10 to go coming up this time. It's still Smith. It's still Leclerc side by side as these cars bob and weave. You got to remember, the air is real in iRacing. If you're unfamiliar with this, you're like, okay, it's just a game. No, the air is real in this thing. These cars will move off of the air of the other cars. So that's where you're seeing these drivers. You're like, man, they can't keep a wheel straight. That's because the car is being moved by the air.
Yeah, and it makes it even more difficult here on the sim because you don't feel the air buffet your car around. You don't feel that same sensation as you would in a real car. Have you ever gone driving down the freeway, the highway, whatever, on a windy day and you feel the car buffet a little bit? You have to counter steer on a straight line. That's exactly what you would be feeling in one of these real cars. They don't have that feeling, that sensation of the car buffeting a little bit, so they've got to well, try and work with it. It's not wind crossing the track necessarily, but that air is still moving around. They've got to try and compensate.
As you see that third lane starting to form up there, top side. I saw Radford move up there. And Jesse King jumping up there. But yeah, to add to your story real quickly, I don't dare anybody to do this, but the best way to experience it, get up behind a semi and just feel the air for a minute and then pull out.
Yep.
And you'll be like, whoa, what just hit me? And then even better, let somebody pull up next to you in a semi and feel the air actually blow up into your cars. They're 3 wide for the lead here. King, as you mentioned, coming to the front.
We went 3 wide in a hurry for the race lead.
Yeah, they did.
Leclerc had the lead for a second. Then King came along and sucked that top line back as the bottom holds steady on the bottom. Well, right in that yellow line.
8 laps to go this time by side up front. Third lane trying to form with that 34. They're kind of losing a little bit off of Radford. As it comes back together real quick, give that lap to Leclerc in the middle lane. I think the middle is where you want to be in that first car. Well, I say that as they about wreck.
Just a reminder, since we nearly had one there, 3 green-white checkers here. 3 attempts at overtime. We might be using them all tonight.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me at Talladega. But, yeah, that 3 car pushing that 21 to 33, pushing to 3. You know those two are going to work together. Up top, you got the 94 pushing to 25, and you got the 2 blue and black 34-46. How about that 5th car outside lane, the 2 car? He hasn't been up there since early in this race. He's been kind of just hanging out, but Neil Quick is up there right now looking to potentially get involved in this race.
And still, it's a 20-car pack all the way down through Donnie Lyons, who's sitting back there in one of my favorite spots. You're able to watch this entire lead group. And now I think if you're Donnie, you want to start working through this field. See what guys are working well together. See who is kind of sketchy, maybe trying to avoid those guys, obviously. Go with the guys who are moving forward. And I think try and work that top side. I love where Donnie Lyons is right now. And he's in a position where if they get argy-bargy, if they start to crash, he can check up. As you see those guys headed down the backstretch, moving ahead, falling back a little bit, ebbing, flowing in the top part of the pack. I love where the 79 is right now.
I'm waiting 2 more laps, I think, because these cars suck up so well. Within a straightaway, he could be up behind that 96 in the middle lane when it's all over with. So I think he can kind of see what's going on right there. That's just kind of my feel. But I'm not saying I don't disagree with you at the same time. I'm getting up there and probably getting racy as they get close there in the bottom lane. Aaron Smith and Leclerc about hit each other. Here comes King top side. 6 laps to go.
Leclerc is really starting to assess that threat from the top side. He's starting to notice how good they are up top, painting that wall, and he's starting to side draft a lot. He's getting aggressive on the side of those cars inside, and Bishop. Nathan Bishop got real scared, and now Leclerc has a big run. That's what that does. It can scare those guys into lifting. It can use that side draft, and, well, there goes the 21, clear of the field, drops down in front of Aaron Smith, and now Brian McCann on a block. Contact.
His brother's going to take him 3 deep here. I think McCann got forced up
there. Nearly a crash.
Both McCanns got split up there, and I think that was accidental when that happened. 23's in the wall, 4 wide.
In the middle. The 33 goes back in front of his brother. Here comes Mike Cook through the middle. That's got to be one heck of an onboard as we're squeezing them like oranges down to turn 1.
Hold on, boys.
4 wide still. Nathan Bishop on the bottom. Leclerc in the middle. Trumley there. Radford way up top.
This is crazy.
Leclerc squeezes down to the bottom side clear.
The McCanns.
Oh, in the wall is Jesse King. He backs up to Troy Radford. The McCanns are pulling away at tandem at Talladega.
They're back together in the lead here. Here comes Trumley, as you mentioned, that 96 car in the middle groove. 00 drops to the bottom. Door check on a 25.
He punched the 25 at Jesse King. King punched back, and now the 25 slides in front of Mefford. And here goes the double aught. Cook to the race lead with the help of Smith.
There wasn't room there, and somehow they work it out. As you mentioned, the 00, Mike Cook to the front with Aaron Smith. Kevin McCann getting pushed from Brian. You better hold on, Mike. That's all I'm going to say.
This is going to be interesting. 4 laps to go that time by. You got the onboard there, seeing exactly what it's like for Mike Cook, who's now leading the pack at Dega with 4 to go. 3.5, we can call it.
Yeah, they reset here for, I guess, a quick second here as the 70 all over the back. The 21's pushing the 70. That's never good. Don't push the pusher.
We're about to find out, do these guys have fuel?
That's a great question here. Coming to 3 laps to go. You see the 46 now jumping to the top side. Here comes Chris Medford. winner from last week. He was the one that was in the back for the restart. He won last week's or 2 weeks ago.
And we're about to have 2 lap cars ahead of these guys, the 47 and another. Ray Radford here with the 22, it looks like, of Matthew Kopp. This is good. Yeah, they've got to get out of the way. They're going to go to the top side. Got to commit one way or the other. They're finally going to go way up top. This is going to be close. The field does get back 2 by 2, 3 to go. Oh, boy.
Nice job by those guys getting out of the way. That was sketchy, but they did it, so I'll give them the credit here. But this is going to create a run, I think, in the middle lane right here. I think if you're the 46 back there, the 94. Oh, I just heard somebody say they're light on fuel. Whoa.
This is going to be interesting. I think we're going to see a couple of cars sputter.
Yeah, we're going to have to listen real closely here, audio-wise here, see if any drivers say they're running short or whatnot. But we got the 2 McCanns up top side. Mike Cook being pushed by Aaron Smith here as they come to 2 laps to go. I can't help but think of the ARCA race a couple years ago at Daytona where pretty much the front of the field all ran out of gas. And I forget who it was, like won the race from like 10th. You know who it was? It was Bobby Gerhardt won the race from like 10th position.
We're going to see something similar. The other thing with that is the rear ends of these cars are real light. They're going to dance around a ton. Yes. They are not weighed down. They are going to move around, bump around, jostle around. 2 laps to go. Popsicle sticks in the air. This is nail-biting stuff. This is going to be exciting.
House of Pain? We can go with that if you want to.
Well, clear on the right rear of Smith. That was close.
Yeah, get down there as we get down to turn 3 and 4. You see that outside lane trying to get some momentum with Medford, trying to push that 46.
And Kevin McCann does not have his brother now.
No, he doesn't. And here goes
Cook.
Cook jumping out of line here, and now that's going to force Aaron Smith to push the 33. And how ironic is this that Brian McCann is pushing? Oh, he needs to get out of the way as they get to the white flag.
Oh, that was close. White flag is out. 1 to go here at Dega. Cook on the outside. McCann down low. McCann pushing Cook. And Mefford, Chris Mefford. Where's that, Brandon? The 46? That is Chris Mefford up top. A big block. They're going to go forward, maybe.
McCann to the top side. It's going to be brothers racing each other right now. 0-0 of Cook getting stuck in the middle. 46 times in a row. Takes him out.
Brian tried to block. I think Chris has one of the Chris's has the advantage here. There goes Brian Mefford. Chris Mefford crash in the back. A drag race. Oh, there goes Kevin McCann. He's going to win at Dega.
Yeah, McCann. Nobody's going to be able to get the momentum.
Wow.
Welcome to victory lane at Talladega. Kevin McCann. Hunter Tate second. Funkhauser, Chris Medford, Mike Cook, your top 5 as the field piles up.
Hunter Tate second. Yeah. Joshua Funkhauser third. Where did they start that last lap?
Oh, gosh, that's a great question. Well, Kevin McCann was up front. Hunter Tate, I think, we're in the back. But you know what? One other factor. Smith was in this wreck.
Yeah, that's going to be big.
The points leader involved in this. You know what happened there? The 3 lost all kinds of momentum. The 46 was stuck on his left rear. And the 94 was stuck on his left rear, and it killed the momentum of the top side. Right here. Yeah, and right there. That kills his momentum. Yep.
And Brian's trying to come down.
And he just can't. It's
yeah.
I mean,
Troy was trying not to lift and had to keep squeezing down further and further into Trumley, and then something happens to Mefford that turns Smith in front of the field. He gets put up in the wall, nearly goes over. And you know what? I posed the question of where Hunter Tate and Joshua Funkhauser started that white flag lap, 12th and 15th, respectively.
Wow. Hunter and I should mention 0-0 looks like hooked, unfortunately, the 46 into the 33. But how about Kevin McCann celebrating a victory tonight here at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway here? What a finish it was. And for McCann, I'm looking at the numbers here really quickly. It looks like maybe his 11th career win, so we'll have to see if that's updated or not. But either way, going to victory lane to 33 at Talladega. We'll step away. We'll come back. We'll talk to the top 3 and kind of review and catch our breath at the same time as you're watching the Global SimRacing Channel.
Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Back we are at Talladega Superspeedway, virtually on iRacing and the Global SimRacing Channel as we wrap up this crazy 100-lap race. And, man, the Challenge Series definitely lived up to it here. The Spartan Transportation IROC Challenge Series is all said and done. As we look at the race results, Kevin McCann wins the race after one pile up and then a secondary wreck out in front there. Takes out a bunch of the field. Hunter Tate finishes second as Andrew took a look, was 12th and 15th, being Hunter Tate and Joshua Funkhauser. Going to the white flag lap, they finished second, third. Chris Medford finishes fourth. Mike Cook finishes fifth in the race. Neil Quick, Troy Radford, Jesse King had a strong run tonight, ends up eighth. Cook Quick finishes ninth, and Donnie Lyons with the top 10 finish. I'll let you, Andrew, take the 1 through 20 spots.
Gary Ragland takes 11th place this evening, just outside that top 10. Then you get guys that were properly involved in that last crash. David Trumley, Aaron Smith drops the 13th spot. Douglas Wysocki there in 14th. Brandon Mefford, 15th spot. Then Pendergraft, McCann, Brian McCann, that is, in the third spot with his brother winning tonight. Mike Harper, Nathan Bishop, and James Kaufman wrap up your top 20.
Yeah, I think Brian McCann should get some kind of headache award if we had one. Curtis Rogers, 21st. Bill Walker, 22nd. David Cox, 23rd. Brandon Leclerc, 24th. There's maybe another headache participant. Ray Radford, 25th. Matthew Kopp finished in 26th. David Brown, Jeff Napier, Jamie Abril, and Chris Wally. The winner of the first stage, unfortunately, finishes 10th tonight.
Finishing 31st, you'll find car 17, Dakota Clark, just ahead of Rocky Battenfield. These guys all out of the race at this point. Of course, Brian Reek back there with Hunter Clark, Tim Schofield, Brian Kaufman, Dylan Dellinger, Timothy Woodson, and Todd Willis, unfortunately, wraps up the back end of the field.
Yeah, unfortunately, those guys had issues here tonight, as pretty much at the end of the race, a lot of people did, as we had those wrecks. But a couple people that survived. We'll start with the third place finisher here, Joshua Funkhauser, as Josh is, we'll go to the winner first, as Kevin McCann is going to be celebrating here. Kevin, what a race that was. I know you and your brother did a great job working with each other throughout the evening here in the race. You guys got kind of separated out, and it almost looked like at one point it might be you versus Brian for the win, but either way, you survived the wrecks, and welcome to victory lane here at Talladega.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was an interesting finish there, that's for sure, but good race overall. I just tried to keep the car clean. You know, we had one fast repair in pocket, knew there was going to be a big one, so just trying to save that till the end and, nail those green flag pit stops. And, that put me in position there toward the end of stage 2 and a good starting position for stage 3. And, yeah, we just we tried to work together with my brother to, put us in a spot there. We knew that outside line was fastest, so we definitely wanted to take that on that last restart and kind of control the race. And then, with about 5 to go, I got a decision to make, do I want to help my brother or do I want to try and win? So I, I chose to win. So I, dropped down to the bottom lane there and left him up top and dodged that big one there at the end and just got lucky.
The racing out there was wild. I mean, obviously, you guys are out there 2-3 wide, not to mention you're trying to save enough fuel to get to the finish of this race. Talk about the action out there, because, I mean, you and your brother did a great job staying up front all night, but it just seemed like it was just going back and forth from the outside lane to the middle lane, the bottom lane at times, and just crazy racing out there.
Yeah, fuel strategy was interesting tonight. We had to save a bit of fuel in stage 2, and then the final stage there. If you were the lead car, you were about 3 or 4 laps, burning 3 or 4 laps more fuel than
Mm.
the guys behind you. So it was right on, it was really close. So in fact, um, Brian, we sort of I don't remember who it was. I think it was the 23 car. Um, 21. We let him up in front of Brian
Mm.
just because the fuel numbers were so close. We didn't think we were going to make it, and we definitely wouldn't make a green white checkered. So we chose to try to save a bit of fuel there in that final stint, and it looks like some guys were really really close. I had about 4/10 of a gallon left there at the line, so saved enough.
I was say that's about a lap. I think it's usually what, 3. I'm trying to think it exactly. It's usually like high 3s. I think tenths of a lap or tenths of
Yeah,
a gallon. You can run a lap. So yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty
it was
crazy.
close.
Well, great job tonight, man. Congratulations. First win, I believe it is, of the season. And congratulations. 1, you get to start at the back for stage 3 next week. But 2, congratulations on the win and your chance to send some thanks or shout outs to whoever you like to.
Yeah, just shout out to everybody that puts on the show in the IROC League. Brian Reek, Chris Wally, Cal Pendergraph. And shout out to you guys for doing the broadcast. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys.
Absolutely, Kevin. Thank you for your time. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks.
All right. So one of 2 Cinderellas, I guess we can call them, if you will, coming to the finish line here tonight was that 8 car of Hunter Tate, who was running 12th on that final lap. And Andrew, I guess we got to ask the obvious question. Where did Hunter come from?
That's a great question. Hunter, where did you come from, and how do you play these late race moments like this, sitting back in the field, playing your cards? Well, what exactly are you looking for 2-3 laps to go to try and set yourself up?
I more or less just wait for everyone in front of me to wreck. That was just a lot of luck. I didn't really have anything planned. I was just going to kind of sit in the bottom because I didn't really have any other choice. I had guys behind me. I had a long line to my outside, so I didn't really have anywhere to go. So really, my only hope was for everyone to wreck, and that's exactly what happened.
I'm looking at the standings coming into this evening. It looks like you come in relatively deeply seated, so this is obviously going to help you out there. How do you work your way through these standings now? Obviously, Dega being a big wild card, things going to move around. It should help you out a ton, but you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, definitely. I missed the last 2 races, so had a bad run at Daytona and got caught up in a wreck at Auto Club. So the 2 races that I did race weren't great, and then to miss 2 obviously isn't good. But yeah, it would have been nice to get a win, but I'll take the second. It was I feel like it makes up for the bad luck I had in my first 2 races, but really it's just to show up and run consistent, not make mistakes. So.
There you go. Hunter Tate plays the wild card perfectly and walks away with a second place this evening. Again, started that last lap, looks like in 12th, maybe 13th. So pretty good way to leave Dega in that regard with a car all in one piece. Buddy, who makes it happen for you?
I want to thank NB Graphical Solutions, my buddy Nathan Bishop, who was out there racing tonight. He helps me out a lot on the track, and he also makes some really good paint schemes, takes good iRacing screenshots. If you need anything like that, definitely hit him up.
There you go. Hunter Tate, second place this evening, going to move his way up through, looks like the bottom 30s, maybe 20s in the standings. Can't wait to see what he does next week at Rockingham.
Yeah, definitely a changer of the luck right there for him. 2 bad finishes in the 2 races he started and comes into victory lane here. That's definitely going to help his momentum. And somebody else that's going to get some momentum from this race is that 81 car of Joshua Funkhauser, who... well, we were going to talk to him, but unfortunately haven't found him yet. But unfortunate deal there. So we'll talk about the race a little bit here, man. Andrew, that was, I mean, wild. I don't know what the good one-word terminology to use for this would be.
Yeah, if I had to wrap that up in one word, it would be Talladega. We knew exactly what we could have had, and we got about exactly what we could have had. A bit of fuel strategy, a lot of big crashes, and one heck of a wild finish.
It was a wild finish in the end, and great racing. Fuel mileage comes into play with the 60% fuel, and again, it's Kevin McCann going to victory lane here tonight at the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. So congratulations to him and all the top finishers in tonight's race, and fortunately, it looks like not going to catch with Josh here. But what a great race next week! It is, of course, a Dash for Cash race at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, or Rockingham as it's called in iRacing. So that's going to be a very fun event, and we'll see what happens with that coming up here next Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern time. And man, Andrew, it's been fun. Obviously, this is the first time you and I have called a race together, and definitely had a blast with it tonight, and definitely had fun. And I hope we get to do this again soon.
Absolutely, and of course, a lot of great people make things happen for us here with the Spartan IROC series here at GSRC. I'm not used to saying that. I'm used to saying other things.
I'm with you on that one.
Zoe's Place, top of the list. The mission of Zoe's Place Child Advocacy Center is to minimize trauma to child victims of sexual abuse and neglect by providing a centralized, safe, and child-friendly facility from which a multidisciplinary team, MDT, conducts investigations and intervention activities. Their goals are to reduce trauma, seek justice, and foster hope and healing for children and their non-offending caregivers. Our vision is to foster hope and healing, reduce trauma, and, well, provide and nurture children and their families. R&R Racewear, your source for all custom racewear apparel needs, and home to iRacing apparel. Check it out today at rnrracewear.com. That is r-racewear.com. Evidence-Based Mommy, if you have questions about parenting and non-toxic living, visit evidencebasedmommy.com, where Dr. Samantha Radford combines evidence and wellness to help parents and kids thrive. Lucky Finn is proud to celebrate the Lucky Finn Project, who has created a nationwide support network for parents of kids with limb differences and provides limb difference education and awareness. Find more info at luckyfinnproject.org. Loud Pedal TV, 5-star graphics, sim coaches, and of course the hot dog stand. They all make things happen for us as well, and are big partners of this series. The hot dog stand is open. Be sure to tune in to the live airing of the Hot Dog Stand podcast on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on their Facebook page. You can listen to all of the conversation on Spotify, Google Podcast, and Anchor.
There you go. Make sure you go check that podcast out. And a big thanks to our team tonight, of course. Andrew, who joined us here this evening. I practiced and made sure I got it right. Andrew Cardinale, who joined us this evening. So appreciate him. I did my best. Joe Peak, or was it Tiak? Is that what we came up with now? And of course, Dougie Beard, who's, man, his camera work's been awesome. I mean, I've known Dougie for years now. So great job, Dougie. Appreciate your hard work. With that, make sure you check out all of the social media for GSRC, the website, merchandise store, and more. It's listed right there on the screen. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, so you don't miss a single moment here on GSRC, as I just hit the wrong buttons here. The next race, Rockingham, as I mentioned, September the 8th. That's going to be a tire eater. Can't wait to see that one coming up here next week. Be sure to check out all the broadcasts listed right there to the left, including the Grand Prix legends. They're going to be at Spa-Francorchamps Saturday morning. You want to see some Lotus old school cars going around that track? That should be a lot of fun. 9:30 a.m. for that. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.